back in Kevin Collins. Clinton's a very good football team on offense, very good football team on defense, so the fewer times they touch the ball being Clinton on offense, the better it is for Assumption tonight.
Okay, we're ready to start this game, and number 4, Brian Pryor, is ready to kick off for the Assumption Knights. It's number 16 with the ball, Matt Bentley. Bentley makes it out to about the 25-yard line, tackled by a host of Assumption Knights.
Well, that's a nice start for Assumption. I think I said they seem more energized. That kickoff by Pryor went down to the 1-yard line. And at this level, that's an outstanding kick. So maybe this will jumpstart Assumption. They need a big stop here defensively. Get the ball back in good field, or get the ball in good field position. Let Kevin Collins go to work, get him in a groove. So this is an interesting possession here for Assumption.
All right, we got receivers split out far to the right, one in the slot, and Brandon Connell is ready to take the snap under center. Offset I formation.
Gonna take the snap for the River Kings.
And up the middle, stopped. Stuffed by 3 Assumption Knights, gain of about 1-yard line.
Well, Doug, as you've noticed, we talked in the pregame. If you look at Pat Lonergan, the Clinton quarterback, he has a cast on his left hand, and that's going to present problems tonight, especially if the grass gets slippery or gets moist. It is kind of a brisk night tonight, and that might cause problems later, especially if they try to run the option here down to the left. So keep an eye on that throughout the evening.
That's the offense, calls the signal. Assumption sneaking up like a blitz here on defense. One step.
Oh, it's a little slant in pass. His receiver was open out there, and he just happened to throw it short. That's number 15 that he was throwing to. Bob Kleppe.
I can't help but think, Doug, that part of that cast had to do with that. It just didn't seem like he got the ball quickly. Assumption brought the blitz to the side he was throwing, which makes it tough for a quarterback to step into the throw and really grip and rip it. And speaking of grip, that cast is going to cause them a problem in the 3-step game tonight.
Started here, the first quarter.
Okay, we got offset I again. We got receivers split out far to the right.
Offset I formation for Clinton.
Drop back pass, looking for a screen, almost threw the interception. There it is again.
Well, and that one, I think that was just a poor play, and Lonergan just drifted way too far. It was a screen that was set up. You need to throw that ball away, but what an outstanding play by Dan McInerney. Played his position well, had nothing to do with the screen, stayed home, and almost made a huge interception. Would have been inside the Clinton 20-yard line. Okay, but when we're 4th and 10, we're looking to punt. Back to punt for Clinton is number 11, Stefan Nas.
Stephen Nas, number 11, set back to kick for the left.
Here's a snap.
That was the kick. But he does get the kick off.
It's a short kick, bounding around, taking a Clinton roll, and it's going to be down at about the 33-yard line.
And that's a break for Clinton. Assumption was all set and ready to retain the ball in great field position. Clinton got a positive roll in the punt, but the guy I'd like to point out on a great block was Matt Fitzpatrick, and he's a backup quarterback that's led Assumption to their 1-1 record, and he actually got thrown into the fire. He did a great job and just really laid out a River King right there. So outstanding play.
Let's hope I don't do it.
All right, well, back to start now for the Assumption Knights is Kevin Collins. And we think that great things might happen today for Assumption because of his return. Let's see what happens. Under center. Clinton looks like they're bringing everybody, and they do. Oh, he's got room. That's number 13. He's going all the way. Touchdown, Assumption. Number 43, Lee Russell.
Doug, we're going to call his name all night. That's Lee Russell, outstanding fullback, and he's really carried the weight of this Assumption team the last 2 weeks to guide him to a 1-1 record. Done an outstanding job, and as you saw it, Clinton got in the 6-2 defense, brought a linebacker away from the trap side. You can't really rush Assumption that much. They're going to give up the line of scrimmage. We saw that against West because they want to trap and counter you. Oh, if you get defensive linemen upfield, they're going to kick you out and create huge holes, which they did for Lee Russell right there. Outstanding run and a huge start for Assumption tonight.
And the kick is up and good. It's number 4, Brian Pryor, kicking it through for a quick 7-0 Assumption lead, 11-19 into the first quarter.
And
man, what an explosive play.
Exactly, and we talked about that. I really saw Assumption in pregame, thought they might have been a little refreshed. Kevin Collins returns, takes the pressure off Lee Russell, and maybe that allows him to be the player that he was. And I tell you what, Lee Russell, not only is he a banger and a warrior inside, but we saw he has breakaway speed. Nobody was gaining on him there. Outstanding football player.
Well, when we talked to Mark Kasmerick today before the game, Mark said we need to control the ball, and he said we really don't have the breakaway players like we've had in the past, except for Lee Russell.
Exactly, and some of his holes have come late in the fourth quarter, and we did the game against West a couple weeks ago, and he had carried the ball some 22, 25 times, and he was beat up and battered and still going and still a big play threat. So he doesn't let up as the game goes on, and we'll see that tonight. And if Assumption can keep this momentum going, get Kevin Collins into a groove, get him inducted into this new season, Assumption's going to be a force to be reckoned with this evening.
Well, back to receive for Clinton is number 23, Sean Helwig, number 18, I believe it's 18 down there, and number 26, Derek Dickerson. Out of bounds. There's going to be a flag on this play, and they're going to take it probably back at the 35-yard line.
Once again, Assumption has a home field advantage here. If they can get a stop here, this is going to be a huge swing for them. They'll keep the momentum, and Clinton, being a very good football team, one of the best in the MAC tonight, is going to have a tough time. So it's their task right now. And remember, Lonergan's got that hurt hand, and I can't help but think that's affecting his performance and execution somehow, some way. So it's his job right now to go ahead and get this team going and get on a long, methodical drive and move the ball down the field to take momentum in the crowd out of the game here.
Well, we got number 14, Lonergan under center. Offset eye again. Number 25 in motion. Pitch. That's 26. Derek Dickerson down inside on the pitch to the right side, and a gain of about 1, it looks like.
Well, that's outstanding pursuit and hustle by the Assumption defense. They're playing on pure adrenaline right now, pure emotion, and they're a very good football team. And what you'll see tonight, Doug, is there are a lot of guys on that team that play both ways. And if they can keep this intensity up, maybe the fatigue won't jump up on them in the fourth quarter.
Well, I was talking to some of the Clinton guys, and they said they have 7 guys that go both ways. So we're going to see a lot of guys both ways today. Oh, and he stumbles and falls. That's number 26, Derek Dickerson. Looks like a stuffed at no gain, and it's going to be 3rd and about 10.
What an outstanding play by Manny Alvarez. Did a great job at the outside linebacker spot. He took the block on, but yet was still able to get a hand on Derek Dickerson to trip him up for an outstanding play, because Dickerson had some running room. There's a big hole on the left side there.
All right, well, we're 3rd and 10, then we're going to see what's going to happen here. Do you think we're going to pass here?
I think so, but once again, Lonergan, I hate to see the 3-step game. I just don't think he can throw it accurately enough. You're going to have to get back 5 steps and throw, and as you said, now Assumption brings in 5 defensive backs roughly, so they're expecting the pass as well.
Assumption's going to blitz. And they're going, oh, Lonergan's in trouble. He throws it away.
That's a smart play by Lonergan. It came close to an Assumption player, but that's a nice play to throw the ball away. What I like to see in that situation, Doug, is I don't mind the bootleg or naked or whatever you'd like to call it there, but what I do like is either a back or a tackle misdirection, either come down and get out in the flat early, because if the defensive end for Assumption stays home, you have somebody to throw the ball to in a hurry. Assumption defensive end played it outstandingly,
did a nice job.
Away, and now they're going to get the ball again for the 2nd time in the first quarter.
That was number 1, Tim Mathis on the tackle back there. Okay, back to kick for Clinton. Number 11, Stefan Nas. And back to receive is number 24, Matt Walsh. Oh, it's past him. It's a bad snap. On the 10. He gets the kickoff, but we're going to get the Assumption's going to get the ball. It looks like at the 35-yard line is where they're going to mark it as being out of bounds.
Well, I tell you what, Clinton got the first break in the kicking game on basically a shank punt earlier. Now Assumption gets that break back. So as far as breaks and big plays in the game, Assumption is leading right now. So Assumption retains the ball at the 35-yard line on Clinton. So they have a chance to break this game open 14-0.
Okay, well, Kevin Collins has got his team under center at the 35-yard line. Looks like we got motion. We got motion on the Knights.
I tell you what, Coach, Clinton just doesn't look like they're in sync right now. They're jumping off sides. As you saw there, they got aligned late. They just don't seem like they're the aggressive defense ready to attack Assumption. And I can understand that a little bit too, because with Assumption they have Lee Russell, who's an outstanding player. You have Mathis and Walsh at the wingbacks, who are constantly running counters and traps. So it's tough to line up to Assumption, declaring which side is the strength. So Clinton has their hands full, and they had better get their assignments worked out and become more crisp. Otherwise, Assumption might just run them out of the place tonight. tonight.
That's right. Referee George Pomeroy on the call. And we're going to be 1st and 5.
From the River King 30. Collins under center. Marks under the signals. And off left side.
That's number 24 Walsh on the coverage, on the carry. And a gain of about 3. It's going to be a gain of about 4. I guess it's going to be 2nd and 1.
What an outstanding block by Mike Dudley. He's a senior captain offensive lineman. Outstanding block, just kicking out the end there and giving Walsh a great lane to run through. It was only a 3-yard gain, but it is positive yards, and they're establishing the line of scrimmage. And once again, all these counters and traps, Assumption is very tough to defend.
All right, full house formation. Hand off number 43 off the left side. That's Lee Russell again. First down, gain of about 10 yards, running hard.
I tell you what, Doug, we've already talked about it. Clinton has got to get lined up to this Assumption offense. Assumption's changing formations, mixing things up, and Clinton is just a step behind. Kevin Collins went on first down, gave the ball to Lee Russell off the left side. There was nobody there for Clinton. They didn't even get a line right. A big, big gain for Assumption in the Clinton territory.
And now they're back in slot formation. Looking to pass. No, just a little bit overthrown. That's Kevin Collins throwing out there for number 17, Matt Fitzpatrick, and he just overthrew him by about a yard.
He really did, and I think it was a nice throw by Kevin Collins. It's just Fitzpatrick got held up by Sean Helwig a little bit. He was Fitzpatrick was running the corner route, really ran right into Sean Helwig, and that's incidental contact, and it was a complete timing route on Collins' sake. He has to get back 3 and throw the ball, so it's just a little misfire there in the timing. But all in all, a nice safe throw by Collins.
All right, back in the slot formation now. Number 1 in motion. He gets the ball. That's Mathis on a gain of about 2 yards.
You know, Doug, that's one of the few plays I think I've seen Assumption run a counter that wasn't crisp. Mathis was out in front of his offensive lineman, Dudley, and I tell you what, let Big Dudley get out in front of you because he's going to make a hole for you. Mathis got out in front of him a little too quick, and I think there was some real estate there to be had, but the play just wasn't choreographed properly. That's one of the few Assumption will do that. They will not make mistakes like that much tonight.
All right, big play here. 3rd down from about the 15-yard line. Collins under center. Hand off to Russell. Russell's got no running room. Brought down that time by number 77. That's Kurt Miller.
That's a great play by the Clinton defense, Doug. They really needed that at this point. Force Assumption into some type of field goal situation here. They might possibly go for it, but that's a big stop for the Clinton defense.
4th down, and there comes the field goal kicking team. This will be Brian Pryor. He looks like he's got a good leg and a good kicker. This looks like a good move.
I agree, and we showed he kicked the first kickoff down to the 1-yard line, so you know he definitely has the legs.
Snap, the kick. It looks like it is no good. Well, he didn't get a good boot on that one.
No, he sure didn't. And I'm not much of a kicker, but I have held for some pretty good ones. And it just seems like he rushed it a little bit. Just got out of a little rhythm. Maybe this was one of the further kicks he's made. I'm not quite sure on that, but it just didn't seem like he had the rhythm that he needed to hit it smoothly.
Yeah, it looked like maybe the steps were off a little bit, and when he just kind of punched at it at the end rather than getting a good kick at it.
Exactly.
All right, so River Kings starting back deep in their own territory again on the 20-yard line. Split left and right. Little draw. Nice run by 26 for Clinton River Kings. That's Derek Dickerson.
Yep.
Nice hold that time. A little delay handoff and worked out real well for him.
It really was, and it was a nice hold on the left side, and I think he could have gotten into the secondary. Dickerson, once he gets through the line of scrimmage, has to run because Lee Russell is a linebacker. Yep. And Lee's a fast man, and he can play not only fullback, but he can also play linebacker. And as you see, he ran him down from behind when Dickerson should have been into the secondary, possibly for a 15-yard gain there.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for him to cut back a little bit, and he stayed to the outside.
Yep.
All right, I formation. Got in split left and right again. The pitch, that's Dickerson again. Dickerson at the 30, about the 32-yard line. It's going to be first down, Clinton.
Well, that's a tough run by Dickerson. He just got the option pitch, lowered his head on Pryor, and really made a good run. We might see some vulnerability on the Assumption defense tonight, Doug, because what they're doing is they're playing man-free, which is what we call in the NFL. There's one free safety responsible for the middle third. All the other underneath the defenders in the passing game are playing man coverage. So if you get to the outside, there's really nobody there to come up and run support. So we could have some big plays on the edge tonight for Clinton.
Yeah, and that pitch to the right's going to be a lot easier for him to make, for Lonergan to make, that rather than go against it and have to pitch with his right hand to the left.
Without question. I think the way they combated that, your assumption scouting report obviously has to be don't worry about the option to the left.
Yep.
And the way they combated it, they faked the dive to the left and ran the counter option or reverse option, or there are about 12 different names to call it, but needless to say, they faked to the left and ran the option back to the right.
Okay, well, Lonergan's under center. Offset eye again. Dickerson's in trouble. That's 75. 75 for Assumption. Ryan Toohey. Ryan Toohey's 6'2" and 250 pounds, and we got a hold of him.
Yeah.
Dickerson wasn't going anywhere.
Not at all, and he did a great job of fighting off the block, getting penetration in the Clinton backfield, just making an outstanding play. And Clinton, as we talked, got a little momentum, got a couple first downs here, and that's a great play by Toohey to try to shut this momentum down.
All right, well, we're going to be 2nd and 11 here. I formation. Lonergan's got the snap. Oh, nice play. He's got some running room. It's going to be first down by Dickerson. They had the fake on the inside handoff, and then he took it on himself, and the tackle and the guard on the right side did a nice job of opening up a big hole for Lonergan to run through.
Really did. Lonergan, once again, it was that counter option. They faked left and ran it back to the right so he can pitch the non-cast hand, and he tucked it in and made a nice play. And as we talked, there was nobody in the middle of the field to make the play. The next guy you get to is a free safety because Assumption's in man coverage. So there is going to be some chance for some big plays for the Clinton offense.
I formation, receiver split left and right. Lonergan looking to pass, he's going to run. Picking his way through it. Lonergan got down to about the 49-yard line and then went backwards.
Oh, jeez. I tell you what, if you're going to cut it back into Lee Russell, you had better get your shoulder pad level low, because he is a low football player, and that's what makes him a great football player. And Lonergan came in, he's 6'4", and he was running every bit of 6'4", and Lee Russell came in about 5 foot and just put a helmet right in between the one.
Well, he was just trying to pick his way through an open hole there, and then he ran into the wrong guy. All right, I formation, Lonergan under center. In motion. That's number 42.
The ball right up the middle of Dickerson.
Dickerson running hard. First down. Clinton River Kings on a very nice run by Dickerson.
Nice job on the second effort by Dickerson. And you can see what Clinton's doing, Doug, is they're motioning the trips and trying to get the linebackers out because they know Assumption's in man coverage. I agree with Assumption's philosophy to be in man coverage there. The one thing that hurts, though, is when the backs motion out, it removes linebackers, so there's nobody there to help on the tackle. As you saw, Dickerson was all wrapped up, but that extra linebacker wasn't there to make the play. So like I said, Clinton could have some success tonight running the football versus this man coverage.
Let's see what happens. They're going back to the say what? This Dickerson. Oh, Dickerson's in trouble. Oh, down. That's number 30 for Assumption. Dan McElnary, 6'1", 190 pounds, and he just wouldn't let go.
No, he wouldn't. An outside linebacker position, stayed home, really fought off the block, and made an outstanding play. Showed his speed. Dickerson's a fast back, and he showed his speed. He couldn't get outside. More importantly, he forced Clinton back in midfield. Now 2nd and 20. Try to take the wind out of the River King sails a little bit here.
Well, he got deep penetration. Came across with no blocking, really, and then got a hold of Dickerson, and now we're 2nd and 20. 3:47 to go in the first quarter. Lonergan under center, offset eye. Nope, we're going to run the option. Gain of about 3 yards by Lonergan, keeping it on the option, which was the right move.
Oh, it really was, and once again, you have to respect the fact Lee Russell hits. He comes in low. I mean, it doesn't even look like there's a defender there, and then all of a sudden the runner just goes down. You look up, and number 43 has him by the hips, and that's the thing I love about Lee Russell. He plays so low, and when you play low, and we talk, it should be a commandment, and it should be the first commandment. Who's ever lower in football wins. And Lee Russell wins 99% of his battles.
We got Sean Helgren split out long right to the left. Lonergan under center. Bentley in motion. Straight drop back. He's in trouble. That's number 1 again. Tim Mathias. Tim Mathias on the tackle. This is the second big tackle Mathias had at second, a quarterback. I'll tell you what, he's got nobody blocking him out there.
Well, he really doesn't, and what Assumption is elected to do is they've played man coverage. That frees them up to rush a couple extra people on the quarterback. So what they're saying is we're going to give up the second effort to the running back, but when you go drop back to pass, we're going to take that yardage back. And the long run Dickerson had, because there wasn't any linebacker help, they just got that yardage back by the big sack because they're able to rush the passer. Clinton couldn't cover him or block him all right.
All right, Nash to kick. Again, it's low kick, and Walsh is back to receive it. He's going to let it roll. He's got the ball at the 20. Going to run out of bounds. Tackled that time by number 25, Andy Hahn.
I tell you what, for Clinton, Stephen Ness is having a tough time just catching the ball, let alone getting off a good punt. So their special teams right now, they're getting some breaks on the rolls of the punts, but they better shore that special teams up. Otherwise, they're going to give the field position war away to Assumption. So that's something they're going to have to address here before halftime.
Well, that was official Elmer Kitzman on the call.
Early in the season.
Collins under center. Tight formation. Mathis in motion, a little inside counter, no place to go. But we have a flag on the play.
I tell you what, that's a double handoff. It's almost like an inside double reverse. And number 61 for Clinton, Justice Seitz, literally ran right by the ball carrier. I mean, he got his eyes in the backfield so much, and that's what makes Assumption so tough with their trapping offense. Defensive lines are taught to get upfield, and if you get upfield against this Assumption offense, they're going to trap you and counter you and misdirection you to death. So it's kind of darned if you do, darned if you don't. If you stay back and wait for him, then Lee Russell's going to ram it down your throat. If you get upfield too much, then here comes Walsh and Mathis around through their counter holes and trap holes and everything. So Assumption has a great deal of flexibility with their wing backs, and what makes it all go is Lee Russell in the middle.
We had an illegal motion there on Assumption, and they had a difficult decision by Clinton. They had 2nd and 10 or 1st and 15. They elected 1st and 15.
Hands off Russell.
Got Russell running hard and spinning. I tell you what, you got to like the way he runs.
I'd say, and like I said, he plays so low, and that affords him the ability to keep his balance to spin and play off his hands and break tackles and run through arm tackles and all the things you teach. If you had a training tape of young kids at fullback, you put in number 43 for Assumption, and you say, run like this.
6 foot, 190, and he's got good speed. He looks like he could go on and play somewhere else besides
He
here.
really does, and he's a heady player. And we see him make tackle after tackle. We see him make run after run, and not only that, but he's blocking on these counter traps too.
All right, Mathis in motion. Collins running the option and is stuck.
You know, Doug, that's the first time Kevin Collins got into the game, and I know that wasn't a successful play, and it's probably a loss of 7 or so. But from a quarterback standpoint, I like that from him. That's his first hit of the season, other than the one he got hurt on. So that's his welcome back to the game, and don't be surprised if Kevin Collins doesn't break out now. If there was any hindrance of that ankle injury, I think he just put it to rest right there.
Yeah, and he really didn't have much of an option. I mean, the guy came in and cut him off. He didn't. If he'd have pitched it on that play, it'd have been a disaster.
Exactly.
So he made the right move by holding on to the ball and taking the loss. All right. Well, we're going to be Russell. Russell. It's going to take 2 or 3 guys to bring him down. It seems like he's running hard, but that play just didn't have much energy on it.
No,
I thought maybe we were looking at a little rollout pass there, but the handoff to Russell just didn't fool anybody.
I agree, and I think your rollout pass is a great idea. Whether it gets a first down or not, who cares? Let's just get Kevin Collins into a throwing groove and get him to complete his first pass of the year.
All right, we got Brian Pryor on the kick. It's going to be received by number 16 at the 37-yard line and stuffed right there. That's Matt Bentley. That's Matt Bentley on the coverage. He just had nowhere to go. He was met by 3 Assumption Knights.
Exactly, and I think by the end of the play there were 7 of the 11 in on the tackle. So outstanding play on Assumption special teams part.
All right, well, we got 1.9 seconds to go in the first quarter. And it's going to be River Kings ball at the 36-yard line.
And this is important for Clinton now, roughly going into the second quarter. Now they have the ball at the 35-yard line, which is decent field position. They need to get something going here and establish a few first downs and get the running game going and get the big horses up front playing well.
They need some of that ball control that Coach Kazmarek was talking about now. A nice long drive by Clinton would go well. Will drop back pass, nothing. Shooting for number 16, Matt Bentley, and just threw a little too hard.
He really did, and what Assumption had been doing traditionally, they'd been playing 8 men around the football, playing man coverage on the outside, and really stopping the run for Clinton. That time they come out with basically 5 defensive backs, and it just seems like right now the Assumption defensive coordinator is just in the Clinton offensive coordinator's head and writing his playbook, and every time Clinton wants to throw, Assumption will get a sack. Or right there you saw they had enough men in coverage. Every time they want to run, they have 8 or 9 people around the ball. So Assumption right now is doing everything they have to.
And really the one-step pass, when you've got a lot of rush like that, can work real well. And Bentley was open coming across the middle. He just rushed it a little bit, it looked like.
He does, and part of the rushing it, as we talked, and I know this from playing quarterback, you have to have both hands to grab the ball quickly and firmly when you're taking a 1 or 3 step drop. If it's a 5-step game, I wouldn't be so concerned. But that 1-step quick slant game, you have to have both hands on the football. Otherwise, you're just not going to get your pinky and your thumb and your index finger, everything lined up on the ball the way it needs to be quickly. I don't care what he says about the cast, and I'm sure he's got a great doctor, but there's nothing can replace that other palm being on the football. So for Lonergan, he's going to have a tough time in the short passing game, and he's 0 for 2 at this point. So I think that'll continue to be Achilles' heel for Clinton tonight.
Well, you talked about that before the game, and I can see how that would bother somebody. In a key position like that, you just got to have everything working for you.
Well, like we talked, the 1-step game you really do because it's precision, everything's timing. You just step, grip it, and rip it. Well, if you can't grip it, you can't rip it. And then obviously you're not going to be able to make the throw accurately. And then all of a sudden now he might start compensating and the ball might start flying and doing all crazy things. So as the game goes on, his 1-step and 3-step game isn't going to get any better, that's for sure.
Well, got receivers on the left and right. Bentley in motion. Lonergan rolling, left, looking. Oh, not nice pass. That's number 10, Brandon Connell on the catch, and this time he rolled out left and zinged the ball in there. A nice pass.
He really did, and those are the type of things Clinton needs to do more. Let Lonergan grab the ball a little longer, get back your 5 or 7 or your half rolls or your rolls, and let him see the field. And he really ran a nice roll left and threw the curl route back inside for a nice strike.
And a first down, River Kings. Receivers split left and right. I formation. Lonergan looked like he fumbled the snap. Broken play. He's going to run it hard. Run it hard. He's got about a 3 or 4 yard gain out of that on a broken play, and there's where that hand comes in.
I have to think that, and I don't think that's going to be the last fumble snap we're going to see tonight. But I tell you what, Lonergan, he's a gutsy kid, courageous kid playing with a broken hand, obviously. He's 6'4" and 182 pounds. He might even be more than that. And he showed his leg strength right there, and an outstanding fortitude to want to win. We know he's a tough kid. It's just whether that cast will be a hindrance or not tonight, or too much of a hindrance, rather, I should say.
All right, well, they like splitting those receivers out left and right again. Lonergan under center, offset I formation. Connell in motion. Pass play, roll out right. He's looking for 16, Matt Bentley, and just overthrew him that time.
He really did. And Doug, I think what happens a lot of times, and this happens at the level of high school, when you're rolling left, kids are much better fundamentally because they have to work hard to get their shoulders to make the throw. Rolling right, Lonergan never really got his shoulders headed downfield. And what I mean downfield is headed toward the defense. He was still running toward the sideline, trying to make a crossbody throw. It's just so hard to repeat an accurate throw if your mechanics aren't perfect, especially on the run.
All right, here we are, 3rd and 6. Receivers left and right. I formation. Lonergan under center.
Uncovered.
Lonergan's running the ball, and we're going to be down at about the 45-yard line where it's going to be 4th and 2.
Great play by Mike Walsh, the corner there. Clinton actually had an uncovered receiver, had someone wide open out here, standing right almost on the number of the 50-yard line. Failed to hit him. Lonergan once again fumbled a snap, and I think that'll be a recurring theme tonight. Was able to run a nice option play to the right, and we're really showing he's a good runner.
With that play, though, I don't know if he has the ability to call an option off or not. But I don't know if they were in that. I think they were running the option all the way.
I think, but Doug, when I was there, I just picked up and threw it to him. The coach will yell at me later, I guess. You know.
Yeah, I'll do it. Oh, a bad step this time. Again. Bounce, and it's going to go in the end zone. And a touchback, bring it out to the 20-yard line. Boy, I tell you what, the kicking game for the River Kings is really hurting. our snapper here is not getting the ball up, and it's creating a real problem for Nash to be able to kick the ball.
It really is, and in the ones he has gotten up, Nash has actually bobbled a little bit, and we've seen Lonergan, I think he's fumbled or bobbled 3 snaps now, and they just really do not look crisp in the River Kings, and they really need to come in here on the road and play well, and they're 2-0, and they're playing very well, and they might be reading their own clippings a little bit. I personally think they're one of the best teams in the MAC, but Assumption right now is outplaying them.
Well, they got everybody up there this time to stop the run. We got a fumble. It looks like it's going to be second down. Collins recovered his own fumble, so it's going to be second and 10.
I think that was just a case of Kevin Collins pulling out a little bit. He saw the linebacker up in the gap from Clinton. Linebacker really did a nice job of reading the snap and just trying to wreak havoc, and I think Kevin Collins just pulled out a little bit. And remember, this is only really his first quarter of football this year, so he's still feeling it through and gaining his confidence as the game goes on.
Well, that time the River Kings had 10 guys up on the line of scrimmage, and that's going to disconcert any quarterback when you're going to run the ball.
And then here comes the play action for a deep pass soon.
Here they come again. So Mathis on the run. He's got some blocking in front of him, reading the blocking well, and dives for a first down. Nice run that time by Tim Mathis, and nice blocking on the left side of the line, and he read his blocking real well and stayed with it.
He really did, and Lee Russell was out there on the student body, and actually Kevin Collins wasn't. And Doug, Kevin Collins is an outstanding player. He can make that block all day, but his first game back, I don't know as a coach if I send him out there lead blocking at this point. I let him get his feet wet a little bit. The last thing I want is Kevin Collins on the bench. So a little risky call by the Assumption coaching staff.
That sounds like a quarterback talking to me.
I tell you what, I pitch it and I throw it. That's about it.
All right, Collins on the pitch. That's Russell. He's got the little room. Brought down, collared down that time by number 77. That's Tim Howe on the tackle.
I tell you what, Mathis repaid Russell there with a great block. Kevin Collins once again led the sweep to the right. That scares the heck out of me, but outstanding play by Assumption nonetheless. Right side of the line doing a great job.
They are doing a nice job. Well, we're going to be 2nd and 4 here. And this is exactly what Coach was talking to me about before the game. They needed to control the ball, and so far they're doing it in this series. Pitch, that's Mathis on the run. Nice cutback. Nice cutback. He's got some running room. Brought down at the 42-yard line. That time again by number 77, Kurt Miller on the tackle.
Well, outstanding job by Mathis. I think he's limping a little bit here. He might be hurt a little bit, but needless to say, between Lee Russell, and Kevin Collins, that's an outstanding backfield, a very talented backfield, and they're all working together very well. Once again, another lead block by Collins. Lee Russell through the hole, so they're running the student body, and they obviously see something on the ends of Clinton's defense that they can exploit at this point.
We're slot left and right. 24 is in motion, inside handoff to Russell, and that's going to be a gain of about 2 yards.
Boy, Justin Seitz, you have to feel for him because he came through the offensive line of Assumptions, looked up and saw number 43 right in his face, and Lee Russell drug him. Actually, that should have been a 2-yard loss, and Lee Russell drug him for 5 yards to make it a 3-yard gain.
Well, I'm looking at some of them trying to get the numbers of the Assumption Knights line. I see number 75, Matt Toohey out there. He's 6'2", 250 pounds. Number 70, Mike Dudley, 6'2", 250. That got some big boys up front. That's going to be offsides Clinton.
They sure do, and Sonny Alvarez is their center, and you look down here, he's 5'10", and he weighs 175 pounds. But the thing I like about Assumption centers, being a trapping or a counter team, his job is getting position. He doesn't have to blow anybody off. He just has to get to the man, and a lot of times that means reaching all the way to the guard's man. So you need a quick center, and a lot of option teams have quick centers. A lot of teams that run a lot of traps and counters have very quick centers because they need to reach. I know in the NFL, San Francisco centers are 275 or 280. By NFL standards, that's about 30 pounds lighter than most centers. So, and their philosophy is the same as Assumptions. We just need a guy that can get to the guard's defender.
All right. Oh, my goodness. There he goes. Russell up the middle. That's a gain of about 15 yards, and first down. It's going to be Assumption ball. First down on the 14-yard line. A nice run again by Russell. I'll tell you what, the right side of the line is doing an excellent job.
They really are. And one thing Assumption's doing differently now, too, is they're not only using Russell at fullback, but they're moving him back to a wingback or an offset tailback, which, showing his diversity as an outstanding player, he's taking the ball off tackle and just made a heck of a run there.
Well, that's Toohey and Dudley opening it up on the right side of the line over there for Assumption. They're really moving some people out, giving some room for Russell to run. And we got a timeout now, River Kings, while they try to figure out how to stop Assumption.
They really are, and what River Kings, or what Clinton's doing at this point, they're putting all 11 guys up around the box, and what we call the boxes from tight end to tight end, and they're packing in, I'd say 7 of them between the guards. They're trying to stop Lee Russell up the middle, so Assumption's saying, okay, we'll move him to tailback. We'll send someone else in there at fullback to use up your 7 interior defensive linemen, and we'll get Lee Russell off on the edge. So you can't key on the middle of the Assumption's offensive line saying that's where Lee Russell plays, because obviously the Assumption coaches have seen that. They moved Lee Russell out to a tailback now so he can exploit the exterior of the Clinton defensive line, rather.
Well, we've had it's a great Assumption Knights possession here. We've had the ball for about 4 minutes, and they're on the 15-yard line. Pitch out to Mathis, cuts inside, down to the 3-yard line. Nice running. I tell you what, I really like Mathis and Russell in the backfield. Those guys just have a nose for running north and south. I like the way they run to the end zone, and I like the way they cut back.
They really are running well, and like we talked, Clinton's got 7 men from guard to guard, or at least tackle to tackle. That means they have 2 guys on each side for outside the ends, and that's where Assumption's attacking right now. Once again, another student body left for a huge gain down to the Clinton 3-yard line.
First and goal on the 3. Russell on the ball. It's a Mathis, rather, on the pitch. He's going to get down to about the 2-yard line.
Yeah, that's a nice job by Clinton's defense. It just seems like they had a stunt headed that way, and they guessed right. That's the same play Assumption just ran to get the ball inside the 5. Clinton just guessed right. I think they stunted to the right.
And that's another situation where Connell pitches and leads the blocking.
Yeah, and he's been doing it all. He's been doing it for the entire drive, so I guess that's just something they do in practice well. Obviously, they do it well, but I sure don't want to see him out there on the ground, that's for sure.
All right. We're in a tight formation. And Russell on, it's going to be 6.
But Doug, there just really isn't anyone out there for Clinton to make the tackle at this point. Mathis and Walsh at the wings for Assumption are doing great jobs of blocking one-on-one. And Clinton's really packing everyone in to stop Russell up the middle. Russell ran it around the end and really made a great play. There just is nobody for Clinton right now in the exterior part of the defense to stop Assumption.
And you got to like the way the line, the tight end and the tackle are just sealing those guys off. They run off the right side, just right off the tight end, and there's nobody there.
There really isn't. And the dive fake inside always helps, and that was actually a dive bounce or whatever you'd like to call it, but what they're doing is trying to give the ball to Russell, emulating the fact he's going to jam it up the middle, and truth of the matter is he bounces it outside quickly, and it's a design play, and a very, very nice job by Assumption of exploiting the exterior part of the Clinton defense.
And Pryor puts through the extra point, and 6:15 to go in the second period. It's 14-0 Assumption.
And Assumption, this is a huge start for them.
So far.
Yeah, and it's a huge start for them. We talked about Kevin Collins coming back. They might be energized and they might be feeling better. They have this senior leader back, and he really hasn't done much tonight other than throw a few key blocks. But needless to say, he's your senior leader. He's the guy you've gone to war with, and he's the guy that you know is going to win for you. And I can't help but think, even though it's all Mathis, Russell, and Walsh to this point, I can't help but think Kevin Collins is the trigger man, and he's making all this tick.
Okay, well, back to receive for the River Kings is number 26. That's Derek Dickerson, and number 16, deep man Matt Bentley.
Now it's Clinton's job here to realize they're on the road down 14-0, but they've had some success running the football, and Assumption's playing man coverage in the secondary, so there are some abilities to have big plays there. And Clinton just needs to be patient, be methodical, and go ahead and get one here before halftime. So if they can go into half 14-7, they need to feel pretty good being on the road.
Left-footed Brian Pryor gets the ball nice, high, and deep. It's going to be fielded by Dickerson at the 15-yard line. Cutting back. He's got some room. Running hard at the 45-yard line down to about the 47.
Oh, and that's
nice
a flag
run.
That came in late there, Doug. And that's something Assumption doesn't need at this point to give Clinton more of an advantage to try to get a score here before halftime.
Let's see what the
Usually
flag is.
Usually that's a late hit.
Yeah, from the sideline over there. It looks like maybe somebody got in there late.
Yeah, you out of anyone would know more than I would.
And we
the
have
way the flags are throwing.
We have a personal foul.
If that's the case, it'll be 15 yards.
So that's going to put the ball probably into the 35-yard line of Assumptions, and that's a huge break for Clinton right now with an offense that's sputtering. Your quarterback has a broken wrist, really can't throw your quick game effectively, and you're 6 minutes and 7 seconds right now. They need a big score to make it 14-7 and try to take some of the momentum Assumptions established in the first half.
It's going to be a 15-yard mark off from about the 46-yard line.
Great field position at your own 30 or
We're going to be at the 39-yard line.
It's a huge opportunity for Clinton now, as we talk, to try to stick one in the end zone here. And the way you do that is just be patient. Take what the Assumption defense will give you. Although Assumption hasn't given them much. The defense coordinator has really been in the Clinton offensive coordinator's ear all night. Clinton tries to use their formations to spread you out and then run the traps and options inside, but Assumption's really been playing good defense to this point.
Okay, Lonergan under center. Offset I. Receivers left and right. Pass play, drop back. He's looked that time for number 16, Matt Bentley, and Bentley seems to be his favorite receiver, but that ball was well underthrown.
And it was. And once again, we talked about rolling to the right. Lonergan is a tall kid. He looks athletic. He really needs to force his shoulders downhill to make an accurate throw. We saw that twice now that he's overthrown, and he's missed his receiver in the flat, both high and wide. And the way to cure that is you work harder to get your shoulders downhill to make a nice, accurate throw. I think fortunately for him, though, had he made an accurate throw there, I think the Assumption defender was going to take that one the other way.
Okay, Alvarez split out far to the right. And number 25, Andy Hahn, split far left. Timeout Assumption.
And once again, I think the reason for that timeout, Clinton lined up in a formation, and Assumption left a receiver uncovered.
That's right.
And I think, and it's a very wise call to call a timeout here, not give up the big play in your own territory. If you can force Clinton to a field goal here, you have to think that's a great stop. So you don't want to give him anything cheap by an uncovered receiver.
Well, Coach Kazmarek was pretty excited about that. He wanted that timeout right now.
Exactly, and that's the second time they've done that, and that's not like a Coach Kaz team to make those mistakes. But Clinton does send 4, 5, 6, 7 receivers into the game, and they'll spread out 3 and 4 receivers and put guys in motion. So they are a tough team to actually defense against. Their formations are very tricky and innovative for that matter, so they're very hard to match up against.
Well, I'd like to see Lonergan playing without that broken hand or finger that he had, without that cast on his arm. I think he'd be a much different player than we're seeing today.
I really do too, and part of it too is you have to spend so much time under center just grabbing the ball, you feel like you're behind the entire play. And normally you can get the ball and go and get out, and as a quarterback you're controlling the tempo and you're upbeat and you're moving, and even on those simple sprint outs you're out ahead of everybody. But when you have to stay behind the center, and I know this from my hand injury, you just feel like you're behind the entire play, and that's got to affect your confidence and execution.
Well, we got Isaac Davis split out far to the right. Lonergan, handoff inside, number 26, that's Derek Dickerson. Dickerson with nowhere to go.
He really didn't have any place to go, and we saw what Clinton tried to do again, is get 3 wide receivers, spread the Assumption defense out, and then run an inside off-tackle play. Assumption, once again, the way they're combating that, they're going to try to keep 7 guys in the box, and they're going to play man-to-man outside with this free safety down the middle, and they're able to do that, keep guys like Lee Russell in the box, he and Mathis, and let them be good football players and make tackles like they've been doing.
A nice play that time by 59 Alvarez. He made nice penetration into the defensive backfield. All right, we're under center here. Lonergan, I formation, fakes the handoff. We got a fumble. That's 59. That's 59, Sonny Alvarez again. I'll tell you what, he got deep in the backfield in the last play, made the tackle. We got the fumble. He's got great penetration again.
He really did. And what Clinton tried to do, they tried to spread the field again. But what happened is Alvarez and Russell both and Mathis were all up in the box. They were going to blitz and they were going to bring it. And they got to the quarterback before the guard could come down and pick up the blitzing linebacker. And I can't help but think that the ball was laid on the ground because of the cast. I know it's a reoccurring theme and I'm a broken record, but that's just so tough on a quarterback.
Gons looking at Russell this time with nowhere to go, met by 3 River Kings. I'll tell you what, as hard a runner as he is, you get hit by 3 of those guys, you're going down.
I agree, and that's one of the few times I've seen Lee Russell actually play high. Normally he's lower than that, and that's a 1-yard loss, or maybe a 0-yard gain. He got a little high, forced it into a 2-yard loss, but I won't count him out. He'll be back here soon, and these next 5 minutes in the half, he'll impact this game in a positive way somehow.
2nd and 12. Assumption trying to take advantage of the fumble. Mathis in. Oh, boy. I tell you what, Mathis was in motion that time. It looked like he had to stop a little bit to get the ball. But right now, River Kings are blitzing and coming up the middle with a lot of power.
They really are. And I don't know who number 70 is. We don't have his number here on our roster. But he did an outstanding job. He's a linebacker, blitzing linebacker. He's getting through the guard tackle gap, guard center gap. And he doesn't have his eyes on the backfield action anymore. He's just going through his lane and hitting the first thing he sees. And fortunately for Clinton, that was Mathis coming across on the counter.
Yeah, that 70 is Brad Miller. Brad Miller was number 35 in our program, but he's 70, a junior, 5'8", 185 pounds. And Mathis looking for, oh, he got a fumble. Looked like the ball just came out of his hands as he was trying to make the cut. Maybe he was making the transfer to his left hand, but he just fumbled the ball. He's very upset with himself right now. He had some running room.
I agree, and I would hate to play Coach Kaz in chess, because I tell you what, Brad Miller just made a great play last time. He comes into the backfield and he hits Mathis on the first counter. Now he does it again, and he hits probably Russell or Walsh on the first counter this time. Well, they hand the ball off to Mathis coming on the second counter. So you hit me with the right, I'll come back and hit you with the left, I guess, is Coach Kaz's attitude. A great play call.
Brian Pryor to kick, and it's an end over end kick, and it looks like it's going to take it a favorable Assumption bounce, and then backwards for the River Kings on the 23-yard line. Down by Assumption. It's going to be first down for the River Kings at the 23 with 3:33 to go in the second period.
You know, I did the West Assumption game when Matt Fitzpatrick had to come into the game and play quarterback, and I felt for him getting thrown into the fire, and it's a tough game, first time out. But I tell you what, he's taken out on a lot of people today in special teams. That's the second time he's flattened a River King on a punt, so I can't help but laugh and appreciate that type of effort.
All right, Lonergan's under center. We've got a receiver split left and right again. I formation. Inside handoff with nowhere to go.
Really not, and that's a great job by Assumption, because once again Clinton's trying to spread the field. They're trying to run an inside dive, and what they're saying basically is if we can get through that first broken tackle, there's nobody there to make a second tackle. And that's true, because obviously the Assumption defenders have to go out on the receivers. The Assumption linebackers and defensive linemen are doing a great job of tackling. They're not missing tackles right now, and that's why those gains are only 2 yards instead of 10.
All right, well, we're second and 9. I formation. Lonergan under center.
Takes a step, takes up the middle, now put it up.
A little quarterback delayed sneak. It looked like a quarterback delay. I don't think it was a broken play.
Coach, I'm sorry, Doug. I'm used to being here with Coach Robinson, but Doug, what happened there? I think what that was that counter option. Only this time they were faking to the right and they were going to pitch to the left, which actually is the cast hand of Lonergan. So I don't know if that's advisable. I just think Lonergan saw the hole open up quickly and just tucked it up and tried to get what he could get out of the play.
We're 3rd and 6 for the River Kings. Passing situation. Offset I formation. Assumption, well, no, I thought they were going to bring the blitz. They didn't. No, that's 16 for River Kings. Matt Bentley, that seems to be his favorite target. It's going to be first down, a big play, a little slant in from the left side, and a gain of about 12 yards, first down, River Kings.
It really was a nice slant. And once
Bentley is hurt.
We've been talking about that Assumption's been in a man-free or 3-deep defense, and a slant-flat principle or slant even seam principle is a good call against that. Lonergan did a nice job. I don't know if maybe he gripped the ball a little longer there, but it looked like more of an accurate throw and looked like it came out like he's designed to do. As you mentioned earlier, without a cast, I think we see a different quarterback tonight. So he's out there fighting, and he's a courageous guy, but it's good to see him execute the way we feel he probably would without the cast.
Now that we've got a little time, I had to see Bentley down there. Why don't you explain to our fans what a slant C and a slant flat?
Well, actually, thank you. I appreciate that. What basically happens is if you line up two receivers to either side, a slant seam, and a seam basically is any time you can run down the hashes. The hashes sometimes look like a crazy seam, and that's where the word comes from. And what will happen is the inside receiver will run down the seam to occupy the inside defender for Assumption. The outside outside receiver will push up a few steps and come back across where the second receiver was. So it's basically like he's replacing where the first receiver was down the seam. The quarterback will just throw it right in the seam and take the ball upfield. So it's almost like a decoy or some type of pick. A slant flat, on the other hand, what happens is the first receiver will run right to the bench, and the outside receiver will run up and come in on the same slant route, only now your inside defender is caught on an island. If he goes back, we hit the flat. If he comes up on the flat, we'll throw the slant behind your ears. So either way, it's just two different ways to attack that one area, that one seam area of the defense.
Well, Bentley was carried off the field that time, and I'll tell you what, you hate to see that. He's, like I said, he seemed to be the favorite receiver for Lonergan. I hope he's able to come back. All right, offset I formation, straight back pass. Oh, intercepted.
Oh, what a great play.
That's number 17, Matt Fitzpatrick. He's going to be brought down at the 45-yard line. Matt Fitzpatrick, I tell you what, he threw it right to him.
He did a nice job. Matt Fitzpatrick saw the route, read the route beautifully, and really broke on the ball well. And I tell you what, he's playing with reckless abandon tonight. And I don't know if the burden of quarterback is off his shoulders or not, but it looks like he's playing a lot faster and a lot harder.
Well, they
really made a great play.
They were looking for 23, Sean Helwig, and Fitzpatrick stepped into the receiving lane and picked up the ball. Nice play.
It really did, and I don't know if Sean was Bentley's replacement or not, but usually what happens in a situation like that where the corner gets that much of a break is a lot of times a receiver will really raise his shoulders and stop his arms at the top of the route, giving the defender a cue that he's going to break. And as soon as he does that, the defender can make a play, and sure enough, if number 23 for Clinton was a replacement of Bentley, that might have been what he was victim of there to give Fitzpatrick a
fumble ball. Mathis never did get a good hand on the ball, and he was hit there by number 85 Manny Alvarez, and without the good handle on the ball, he just wasn't able to hold on to it.
Number 77, Kurt Miller, was a player for Clinton that came up with a fumble. But that's one of the few times, like we talked, and that's twice now, that Assumption just hasn't been crisp on their counteraction. And it might be Kevin Collins' first game back, I don't know, but you think he'd work that out in practice as much as he's been in the system. But needless to say, that was a key possession and a key turnover, both on Assumption's part, trying to shut out Clinton here in the first half, but also for Clinton, getting the ball in Assumption's territory, getting a chance to score before halftime here.
Well, we got 1:45 to go in the second period, and Clinton looking to move the ball and make something happen. I formation, Lonergan under center. Little fake handoff. He's rolling left, looking for number 10. That's number 10 is Brandon Connell. It looked like a good throw. Right? It looks to be like he's a little more comfortable, and maybe his technique is a little better. Rolling left, maybe he has to focus a little more.
Well, as we talked, most quarterbacks at this age do roll left better than they roll right because they have to get their shoulders downfield to throw a strike. Rolling right, they get the false sense of security that just running right means they can throw. And that's not the case because your shoulders are headed right to the sideline. So rolling left sometimes at this age is easier.
Okay, we got number 23 here, split out wide right. That's Sean Halwig. Fake pass, he's looking for 85. That's a great pass and great catch. Number 85 is Manny Alvarez. I'll tell you what, we've heard his name more than once today.
Well, sure
about a 25-yard gain, and he hit him right in the hands.
Oh, he really did, and it was an outstanding throw by Lonergan. He made the dive fake, got a chance to set his feet, and most importantly, grip the ball. Made a nice throw, and the reason why that was such a beautiful throw, Assumption was in man coverage, so the dive fake had nothing to do against the defender. He ran with the receiver regardless if it was dive or straight drop back, and really Lonergan laid it in there, got hit right in the back as he threw it, made a beautiful throw.
All right, offset I formation. I'm going to see what we're looking. A little rollout pitch. Sets Dickerson on the run at the 20, 15. Looking for room. He ran out of bounds.
Nice play by Lonergan going to your left on the option. He's got the cast. He has to flip it with his right hand, which is very tough to do. It looks awkward, but you have to take your hat off to him. He's out there fighting and fighting hard, and Dickerson makes a nice move and Walsh there in the flat to take really what would have been a 2-yard gain into about a 7 or 8 yard gain.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're in a big play situation here. It's 14-0 Assumption. We got a minute 13 to go, and right now the River Kings are moving the ball. They're on about the 12-yard line, second down.
With a minute 13 left to go.
And this is a part for Assumption where you just regroup. You've kind of had the ups and downs, the roller coaster a little bit with the turnovers. Got a great pick by Fitzpatrick, and then you gave the ball right back on the botched counter play. It just settled down. You know, he gave up a big pass play. Don't worry about it. Let's just keep them out. We're still up 14-0. On Clinton's side, once again, just be patient. We're sitting great, 2nd and 2. Let's just methodically move the ball in the end zone. We have plenty of time. I don't quite know how many timeouts they have.
I think they've called their first. I think it's their first one.
So they might have 2 left. That's plenty of time. Clock will stop when the sticks when they get the first down here. So just take care of the football. Worst thing they need out of this is 3 points, but they'd surely like to get 7.
Time for their guys up front, Koch, Seitz, both of the brothers, Seitz, Howe, and Miller, to do their work up the front. Let's see what happens. Offset I formation again. It's number 10 in motion, Brandon Connell, looking to roll right and throw right. He's got Connell. Oh, nice route that time by Brandon Connell, who came out on the flat pass and then turned up, but we got overthrown.
He really did, and once again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but just because you're running free of a defender, and Aaron Smith for Assumption did a nice job of trying to force Lonergan outside him, just because you're running free of a defender doesn't mean you're able to throw a ball accurately. You really need to force your shoulders downhill. Actually, he had an open receiver for a touchdown there, and that's the 3rd time rolling to his right. He's throwing the ball high. So the way you have to correct that, get your shoulders downhill, get your elbows high, and just be nice and relaxed, and the ball will go where you want it to.
All right, well, we got Hellwig split out far to the left, offset I formation. 3rd down, we need a first down here for the River Kings. It's 42 in motion. Picked up by, incomplete.
Oh, what a play by Fitzpatrick. Outstanding play by Fitzpatrick.
Well, I tell you what, from here it looked like it was complete, but the official was right on the call that time. He was within 5 yards of the receiver and had to have a great look at it.
He really was, and that was an outstanding play all the way around. And Lonergan throws a strike, and he got rushed, and he got hit as he threw it. Sean Hillwig, and I believe he's Bentley's replacement, slipped in the end zone on a comeback route, and that's instant death for a quarterback. Once you do that, the ball is an automatic turnover. So Sean Hillwig right now needs to step up and become a starter and play like a starter.
All right, well, we're off. So we look like we fumbled the snap a little bit. Keeps the ball and leaning forward. I think we got a first down, Clinton, on a broken play.
Doug, once again, we talked, when you have that cast and you can't get the ball cleanly from the center, you feel like you're behind all play, and I think you saw it there. The option play just never materialized, never got set up, and it's just so very hard for him to be out there playing with a cast, especially running the dive option series.
You know, we're looking at this play, and I think we're going to bring the sticks in for a measurement.
Because it is much closer to trying to call, and if he does not get it, what a great stand.
That's the mark of a good crew, taking a look at this thing and not making any assumptions on what's going to happen. No pun intended.
And I don't know, to me it looked like
first down.
First down, River Kings.
That's a huge play for Clinton. Now they have the ball inside the Assumption 10. So it's a key series of downs for them right now. And you'd like to see him roll to the right because you have the majority of the field here, but he's missed his last 3 rolling right high. So as offensive coordinator, I don't know if you have a whole lot of confidence in your passing game going to the right. You'd like to roll left.
I think you got to look for Dickerson to get the ball.
I agree. And the receivers are splitting out pretty wide, so usually that means an inside run.
Let's see what happens. Roll right. Looking.
Oh.
He was looking that time for number 23, Sean Hellwig, and Pryor just dove through his body up there.
He really did. And Matt Fitzpatrick had the coverage there, and he's playing outstanding here in the second quarter. But I tell you what, it cost me a job in Green Bay, rolling right and throwing left, and I hate to see it. I hate to see it all the time. And once again, we talked, and it happened to me in Green Bay a little bit. When you're not healthy, you're not making the decisions clearly like you would. And I think Lonergan's just trying to force things a little bit right now because, once again, I can't help but think he feels a little bit behind.
All right, here we are, receiver split, far right. Rolling left with pitch Dickerson. There's the ball. 6.
Boy, great call, Doug. Great call. Dickerson's the man, and you said that he was going to be big inside the 10. And outstanding call. Great job by the left side of the Clinton River King offensive line. And once again, Lonergan running the option to the left with a little right-handed flip. Nice execution all the way around.
Oh, great play. They've been right, and they came back with Dickerson on the pitch. And 6 is the results of the play. 29.8 seconds to go. They need the extra point.
Do you go for 2 here?
I don't think so.
You don't? Not even with your offense struggling the way it is?
Yeah, I think I'm going to kick the ball, go in halftime 14-7 and see what happens.
I agree, and I think if you go in 14-7, being Clinton, as many times as that ball's hit the ground when you've possessed it, being punts, quarterback, running back, whatever, they have been sloppy this first half. I think you have to feel like you're in the ball game and really you've dodged a bullet.
Yeah. If I'm Coach Jim Cox, I'm telling my kids, we haven't played our best football. Our best football is left in the second half. We're still in this game, not playing our best football. It's a 14-7 ball game. We got a chance to win this thing. Let's go out and play like we played to be 2-0 this year.
I agree, and you know, you look at Assumption right now, and they feel like they should be up 21-0, but they've had some untimely turnovers as well, and they laid the ball on the carpet as well. And anytime you do that with a good football team like Clinton, they should take advantage of it, and they sure did tonight.
Nas with the kick, it's up and drilled. So with 29.8 seconds to go in the second quarter, it is 7 for River Kings, 14 for the Assumption Knights.
You know, Doug, what I like here, though, from Assumption standpoint, if you get any type of return at all, and by that I mean out to the 30-yard line, I say you put your 4 wide receiver set in, you put 3 receivers to one side, 1 receiver back to the weak side, and you run Russell on a trap. And you let him get out across midfield, you call a timeout, and try to get into field goal range here. I think with Kevin Collins as your senior quarterback, you're not out of the game. And so many teams want to say 30 seconds, try to sit on it. Now, granted, 14-7 against a good Clinton River King team, you can't fault them for trying to sit on it. But as well as Assumption's playing, I say you try to get 3 points here.
Assumption has been moving the ball, and we'll see what happens with number 11. Stefan Nas ready to kick off for the River Kings. Back to receive is Mike Walsh for the Assumption Knights and Lee Russell. Let's see what happens. You know, they might put this ball on the ground a little bit. Kick it rather. Try to keep the Assumption Knights from any kind of long return.
Especially if you see number 43 back there now. I don't view him as having the speed as a return guy, but he sure showed it on his first run of the first offensive play tonight that he has breakaway speed, so anything can happen here.
It's the long kick. Looks like Walsh is going to get it. That is Russell, but the ball's muffed in the end zone, where it's going to come out to the 20-yard line.
Now if you're Assumption,
well, I'll tell you what, a great kick.
Oh, great
kick.
A great kick and a timely kick. Because now if you're Assumption, you sit on it and go into halftime 14-7 with the lead here. And a beautiful night for football. And Assumption's playing great other than the turnover. So if they can go into halftime 14-7 lead, they have to feel like they're in control of the game. Not to mention they do get the ball in the second half.
Well, Stefan Nas kicked that ball 60 yards that time.
Wow, that's outstanding.
And he had good height on it too.
He sure did. And I believe he's the guy that made the extra point, which was a cannon kick as well.
Well, we're running the ball handoff to Russell with nowhere to go. I'll tell you what, I figured he was down at the line of scrimmage, and he just spins and moves and keeps his legs moving. You got to like the way those legs just keep moving and moving.
He really did, and Ryan Toohey thought he was down too, and you see Ryan Toohey limping now. We call that being a pile watcher. Don't quit till you hear the whistle, especially with a guy like Lee Russell, because he'll run up your back. And
you got to keep hitting.
Yeah, fortunately for Toohey, hopefully it's not too bad. Maybe just a twisted ankle.
Russell's got some room. He's got one guy to beat. Oh, brought down by number 25. That's 25 with a game-saving tackle, Andy Hahn. But I tell you what, for a hot minute, I thought he was gone.
I did too, and I'm a firm advocate when you have a player like Lee Russell or Kevin Collins or Tim Mathis for that matter. Go ahead and use your timeout after the first run, and let's maybe they have the ball at 12 seconds here on the 40. So I'm somewhat of a gambler when it comes to things like that. But all in all, a great first half of football for the Assumption Knights, up 14-7 over Clinton. Really have done everything they need to do to win a game tonight. Had the one turnover, but for the most part, they're making more plays. Linebackers, defensive linemen making great tackles, and they're not missing many tackles. So if they can continue to do that as fatigue grows on them in the second half, they'll have an outstanding half of football again.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back for the second half coverage for Family Ties production of MAC Conference football, Assumption versus Clinton.
You have that? Cool.
All right, well, welcome back to Brady Street Stadium for second half action of MAC Conference football between the Assumption Knights and the River Kings of Clinton. Before we start the second half, TJ, you got any remarks about the first half? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, the only thing I saw from the Assumption offensive standpoint is they really exploited off tackle and, more importantly, over the tight end. Clinton really tried to pack 7 defenders in from guard to guard or tackle to tackle, and Assumption would fake a dive in there to hold those 7 in and really run some type of counter or even just a straight off tackle really to exploit that. And we saw the student body sweep as well exploit it. From the Clinton standpoint, if you can try to widen your defense, the only thing that brought that is you leave Lee Russell open more as a fullback on the dive. And just for Clinton, I think what they need to do is get in a rhythm. It's awfully hard with Lonergan. Their quarterback has a cast on his hand, so it's awfully hard for him to get in any type of rhythm. But I think the bobbled snaps and things that are going to happen with that cast, they can't let affect their sideline, and they have to keep the faith and really have to feel fortunate only being down by 7 here going into the third quarter.
Yeah, because really ball control and some of the things that Kazmarek talked about before the game has really happened. All right, well, we're ready to start off to the second half here. Stefan Nass ready to kick the ball and deep to receive. For the Assumption Knights is number 43, Lee Russell, and number 24, Matt Walsh. Or Mike Walsh, rather. Here's the kick. Well, I tell you what, he's got a great leg.
He sure does.
It's received by Walsh deep in the end zone and automatically considered a touchback.
Yeah, that was something I was surprised with. If that's a high school rule that if the ball goes in the end zone, it can't be returned. That to me makes your kicker an outstanding weapon.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Well, being a college official, I had no idea that was a rule. But Mr. Pomeroy right on the call, and it's going to be first down Assumption at the 20-yard line. And let's see what they have in store for the start of the second half.
And as we talk, Kevin Collins, this is his first start back after the injury, and this is his first third quarter going through this, so hopefully he'll come out crisp and sharp and do all the things right.
Well, he's ready to pass. He's rolling out, looking for number 87 downfield. That's 87 is Quint Howell. And, boy, I tell you what, they line up about 9 guys up on the line of scrimmage. They roll right, and I just think he just delivered a little late.
I think so, too. And what happens sometimes, Kevin Collins is an outstanding player with a ball in his hand, and I think sometimes he would probably look to see where the block is being set up to find a running lane before he's actually looking to throw. I'm with you. That type of man coverage, the ball could have been released early and possibly could have been had an open receiver.
All right, well, we're in there tight. So straight up the middle. That's Russell with a run of about 6-yard lines. It's going to be 6 yards rather. It's going to be third and about 4.
Well, that was an outstanding job by Lee Russell, knowing where the hole was going to be into that given front by Clinton. He started on the left side of the center, cut it all the way back to the right, broke a tackle, and made what would be it looks like an easy 7-yard run, and it was actually a very difficult 7-yard run, and he made it look very easily, is actually what I'm trying to say here.
Nice tackle that time by number 25, Andy Hahn. All right, but I tell you what, everybody's up front. Nice run by Russell. It's going to be first down Assumption.
And we talked. Same deal here. Clinton is having a tough time off tackle. They're packing everyone in from tackle to tackle. Really haven't made the halftime adjustment we thought they might. Instead of faking the dive fake to hold the interior lineman for the Clinton defense, they just went with a fake sweep. Russell came back on the counter. Really no one there to make the tackle until he got to the safety.
Well, I tell you, you really got to give it to Assumption. They see what's happening, and they're exploiting it time and again. And their tackles and tight ends are doing a nice job of sealing guys.
They really are.
That's number 3. Number 3, Joe Bradley. I tell you what, I don't think we've called his number all day today. And he came in motion that time. And looks like a gain of about 8 yards for Bradley.
Well,
again, running outside, running off the end.
Really pulled the lineman through and really led the hole. I think Bradley is a replacement for Mathis. I think Mathis is actually hurt. I saw him pull up and late there. He made an outstanding run. I saw him pull up and he was sitting on the sideline in the first half. So I think he might be down now, and I don't see his number out there. He might still be in the locker room.
Yeah. Bradley, 5'10", 150 pounds, not a very big guy. That's Russell looking for running room. I tell you what, first down Assumption at the 47. Good blocking on the right side of the line. They had a nice opening between the guard and the tackle. Russell did a nice job of bringing the ball back to the sideline and gaining extra yardage.
And Coach Kaczmarek, really take your hat off to him, because he is showing the flexibility to move his best player, Lee Russell, into a tailback mold to take advantage of that off-tackle vulnerability to the Clinton defense.
Yeah.
And really, Russell's doing a great job of it, and Clinton just has to make some type of adjustment here.
And Russell, 6 foot, 190-pound junior. That's Powell. He's going, Bradley rather, out of bounds at the 28-yard line. But I'll tell you what, Joe Bradley's getting a chance to play, and he's showing that he can.
And he really is, and he lined up in the right wing, ran the counter once again back to the left. Interior of the Clinton lineman, I know this is a broken record, collapsed on the dive action, brought a guard or lineman to kick out the Clinton defensive end, a huge running lane off tackle. And until Clinton really adjusts to this, I can't see Assumption stopping themselves.
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe Bradley, 5'10" and 150 pounds, and he runs like a much bigger player.
He sure does.
On the far side,
All right, this time Russell spinning and turning for about a 4-yard gain. But I'll tell you what, right now, if I'm Clinton, I'm thinking, how do I stop these guys?
I agree, and once again, Russell lined up as an offset tailback and just went straight ahead, trying to isolate the off-tackle weakness in Clinton's defense. Did a great job. Clinton had a defender there for the tackle, and that's a great job on his part, but there's no one there to help. Everyone is from guard to guard, and there's no one there to give any help, and you need help trying to tackle Lee Russell.
Well, I'll tell you what, Clinton's in that 6'2", and they're sneaking everybody up within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage, and it's just, so far it's not working. Is that Bradley, rather? Bradley, I tell you what, hard to bring down. He put his head down, kept the legs moving, and turned into what could be a possibly loss into it looks like a no gain.
He really did, and now the safeties and linebackers are finally starting to scrape outside, so we might see Lee Russell on a little counter trap inside now, but that's the way they had to make the adjustment to finally stop the off-tackle play, and it took them roughly 40 yards of field position to finally get that done.
Well, with them pinning their ears back and coming in like that, it seems like a little screenplay might work real well.
And not only that, but some type of off-tackle deep post by one of the tight ends. I think if you take him down the seam and then send him all the way across the field, it might be a very big play.
All right, Collins under center. And he's looking to pass. He's got wide open. That's number 87, and the catch. Oh, did he drop it? That's Quinn Howell. He's looking for him again.
Oh, Quinn, you have to come back to the football when the ball's in the air. Kevin Collins, outstanding senior. He rolled to the right. I'd still like to see his shoulders a little more downfield, but he threw the ball up in the air, no Clinton defender around. Come back to the ball, Quint. Come back to the football.
Yeah, he's got to come back. He was running hard, but he hanging up there. Boy, was he wide open.
And he was.
We have a penalty, it looks like, roughing the passer against Clinton.
And that's always a tough call on the run. You know, when the quarterback's on the run, that's always a tough call defensively. You rarely is that ever called.
Let's see what the call we've got. See have George. Yes, that's roughing the passer. First down, Assumption on the 13-yard line.
Well, and we talked about that, the counter play fake, and then with, instead of taking the tight end across the field, they put the tight end on a corner, had him wide open, and I think we'll see that again.
Russell. Is that Bradley again? That's Bradley again. I tell you what, I like the way this kid runs.
I do too, and now, and unfortunately for Bradley, now he's running into Clinton's adjustment to the off-tackle plays. That was a student body sweep we had seen. Clinton now has evened their defense up to the point where now all 11 are playing their gaps, and they're not biting inside, and they're playing exactly the way the defense is designed.
Yeah, Bradley is 5'10", 150-pound junior, and I still like that. I like the way this kid runs.
Yeah,
all right, it's 2nd down and 9 for Assumption. Let's see what Coach Kaczmarek has in mind.
I can't help but to think Lee Russell's a prime player here.
Yeah. There it is. Russell right up the middle, spinning and turning. Good call, TJ. You gotta believe that this kid's got to get his hands on the ball when they're in the red zone.
Well, I do too, and now we're just starting to see a boxing match from Coach Kaczmarek. All right, we win around end, we win around end, we win around end, and you set your defense to stop that. Now we're going to come back up the middle, and sure enough, Russell's got 8 yards, 7 yards right up the middle. So, you know, whatever Clinton's doing right now, Coach Kaczmarek is just one step ahead of them right now. It's really an outstanding job, and it's really fun to watch this materialize, this chess match here offensively.
They're down 3.5. Looks like they're going for the first down. Russell running hard, and I think he's got the first down. Sure enough, first down Assumption. It looks like about the 1 yard line.
And once again, we saw the same thing. Just Now they're starting to defense the off tackle. We'll send Lee Russell. He's our battering ram. Go get the yards, Lee, and really all he needs is 2 steps, and he's going to deliver some punishment. He gets inside the 5-yard line, most importantly, and gets the first down.
This time we're seeing the action this time of both guards in the center for Assumption, and they're just putting people back. They're pulling people back and making room for Russell to run.
And the back. Collins pitches to Russell. Comes to the right side.
Oh, and he stuck the ball over there. Number 43. That's Lee Russell. He got stopped and had the presence of mind to put the ball in the right hand and put it over the goal line for the touchdown. Nice call by the officials over there.
Great play and great call, like you said, by the officials. Student body right. Clinton really had it defended very well. Had 2 defenders over there. Once again, Collins was lead blocking. Russell runs right into an unblocked Clinton defender. Man against man, he just spins, gets the ball in the end zone. Outstanding effort.
And Brian Pryor splits the goalpost, and now it's 21-7. Assumption, third period, 6:46 to go.
And Doug, going back to the first half, when we talked, do you try to get 3 points or not? What Coach Kazmarek did by sitting on the ball really has come to form right now. They get the ball down into the third quarter, they go down and they get a huge score to make it a 14-point lead again. And if that's not a backbreaker to Clinton now, it might very well be, unless their senior quarterback in Lonergan can step him up at this point and get him in the end zone once again.
Well, when I talked before the game, Coach Kazmarek felt that he could win this game. I asked him that question. He said we should win it. And not knowing the history and not knowing what was going on with Kevin Collins, maybe having Collins back and put that enthusiasm in him, but he said he had to control the ball, and this game so far, they have controlled the ball.
And they really have. Other than a couple first-half miscues and a couple sloppy plays on their counter action, they've really done an outstanding job of choreographing everything. And once again, take your hat off to Coach Kaz. I'm really enjoying the fact, and I had a chance to play for Ernie Zampese with the Cowboys, offensive coordinator. Great job of orchestrating a game, and I played with some guys like Mike Holmgren, Mike Shanahan that can also really orchestrate a game, and Coach Kazmarek's doing an outstanding job of winning the chess match thus far.
All right, well, Brian Pryor's ready to kick. And deep to receive is Dickerson. It's a long end-over-end kick at the 5. Dickerson's got it at the 6-yard line. Right up the middle. He's got some running room. Dickerson cutting back and brought down at the 33-yard line.
It's a nice job by Clinton to set up the middle wedge, and Dickerson just basically lowered his head, read a block, and got the ball out across the 30. So Clinton, once again, that's a positive play for them to get some momentum going and try to steal it back from Assumption.
We talked a lot about Lee Russell, and I'm impressed with Dickerson as well. He runs hard, he puts his head down, he runs north and south, and you like to see that.
He really does, and as you talked, he will run a player over if someone's in his way. So he really has done a great job. Now it's up to he and Lonergan to take control of this game on the Clinton offensive side of the ball to try to get a huge score to match what Assumption had just done.
All right, got Dickerson in the slot this time, far left. Lonergan under center, offset eye. Dickerson's in motion. Pass, one-step drop. Looking at number 23 that time. That's Sean Hellwig, and just a little in front of him, led him just a little too much.
I agree, and he's 1 for 4 on that one-step drop, and he threw a beautiful slant once before. Once again, it just seemed like he rushed it a little bit, and usually that, I hate to repeat it, but goes back to the cast, maybe feeling a little bit behind. Once again, Matt Bentley is a starting wide receiver there, and Sean Hillwig is his replacement. Also, I can't help but think that the timing's got to be a little bit off. When you change people like that, timing has to just be a little bit off, and we saw Sean have some problems in the first half, slipping on an on a possible interception, and maybe running a poor route on another interception. So Sean has to step it up here.
Well, we got a decline penalty on that play and a motion, and it's going to be 2nd and 10. Clinton looking for Dickerson. Dickerson with a run of about 3-yard gain, and looks like Clinton's trying to set something up here. They're just having a hard time right now getting a rhythm, getting a pattern in this game.
Well, they really are, and I think Assumption has done a great job of scouting Clinton, because when Clinton spreads the field with receivers and they send the back in motion, invariably it's a trap up the middle. And Lee Russell, nice job reading his keys, just stuck Dickerson for a 2-yard gain, and that's man versus man. Outstanding job by Lee Russell to stay home, and that's just 2 football players going at it head-to-head, and you got to love to see that.
3rd and 8. Lonergan under center, I formation. Looking for that 2-step drop. Oh, it's overthrown. He was looking that time for number 10, Brandon Connell, and threw it behind him a little bit. I thought we were going to have an interception.
Well, you have to feel for Lonergan there because he makes a nice dive fake with a cast on his hand, and Brandon Connell is a junior split end playing tight end there. He's got a clean uniform, Doug, which tells me he hasn't been playing quite a bit. I really like the throw, and what I'm saying as a coach is, Brandon, you have to anticipate that ball quicker because it's not a deep pass, it's a quicker pass. So Lonergan, you really can't fault there. He really made a nice play, nice execution. It's just working with a young receiver, very tough to choreograph.
Stefan Nassen, let's see what happens. Their punting game has really struggled with some bad snaps. It's an end-over-end kick that's going to take a Assumption run, but I mean that is 24. Who is that? 24 is?
That's Mike Walsh.
Mike Walsh.
We've got a flag down as well.
Get the snap to the ball.
I believe it might be a late hit or unsportsmanlike on number 2 from Assumption, which is John Garvin.
As I got ready to describe,
well, I'll tell you what, the punting game has really been hurting Clinton.
It really has, and it may not sound like much because you look at the statistics and it hasn't hurt them statistically too badly. But if you look at the 40 or 50 kids on the sideline, they see the ball on the ground, they see the coaches getting upset, and they see the rhythm completely disrupted. It really does affect your team adversely, and they really need to work that out. And when you're on the road in the MAC, you need to be crisp, clean, and take care of the football. And Clinton really isn't doing that tonight.
Yeah, I think it looked like that was Robbie Miller on the call that time. Personal foul, and again we think it's number 2, John Garvin on the penalty. And Assumption deep in their own territory at the 14-yard line. Assumption bringing everybody. Handoff this time to 43. That's Lee Russell again.
Once again, Assumption trying to go back to the well, and let's run off tackle. And you see better defense now by Clinton. The holes aren't there so big. I just think he ran through a tackle to get that 5 or 6 yard gain. But Clinton's making the adjustment now, and then I have to think they're just setting up the inside traps and everything. Assumption does have a lot of players that play both ways, so they do fatigue in the 4th. And what better way to stop fatigue but to run inside traps all night?
Inside again. It was Russell on the carry, and this time they're trying to run off tackle, off that left end. No room to roam that time.
Well, I think what happened there is that between Collins and Russell, the ball hit the ground. I think they muffed another counter play, and that's 3 tonight by an Assumption team. Coach Kaz will not have that, and I bet there will be some laps or up downs to be had on Monday morning. That's just not a traditional Coach Kazmarek team. Usually they're very disciplined, very crisp. And as you can see, negative plays in this offense when you're a trapping, pulling team is very tough to overcome.
Well, I tell you what, right now Clinton's just pinning their ears back and charging. And
great job
this time,
by Kevin Collins.
Yeah, this time he's taking a little time on the count, and number 70 jumping off center that time. That's
first snap count, they are
70 is.
And you can see that
Brad Miller.
Yeah, Brad Miller was just trying to anticipate the snap. Kevin Collins goes on to try, and that's an outstanding job by a veteran quarterback. Try to get the 5 yards back when you just had a negative play. It's almost like a free play. Now you're in 3rd and 3. Your offense coordinator loves you, and because he's dictating the tempo again, and really you go from being the nail to now you're the hammer at 3rd and 2.
Well, I tell you what, some old Green Bay teams used to throw on this down. Let's see, that's Russell again running hard. I tell you what, you got him, why throw?
I agree, and as you saw him break through the first wave of defense, there just isn't anyone there for Clinton on the off-tackle play. I don't know if they got caught slanting the wrong way, but they had made the adjustment to the off-tackle play. That time they seemed to guess wrong. The safety had to come up and make a play, and actually made a great play on Lee Russell. Normally it takes more than one man to tackle him.
All right, first down Assumption on the 28-yard line. Double tight end formation. Handoff to, is that Russell?
It sure is, and once again another hard run. Very, very hard run, and a great hit there by number 42, Matt Newman for Clinton. Russell was trying to hurdle a man, and Newman hit him in the air, and those have to hurt. He'll feel that tomorrow morning.
Put him down. All right, well, we're 3rd down, or 2nd down rather, and 3. And Assumption right now, again, just continuing to move the ball. Big play going on the 2nd count on the last time when Clinton's just basically trying to pin their ears back and get them back as far as possible, and we've got everybody up front. We don't have one defensive back. This is Bradley picking his way through. He's on his feet and brought down by number 70.
Oh, What an outstanding job by Joe Bradley. Has his arm on his lineman. What a backup coming in as a junior. Has his arm on his lineman, fakes a defender out, doesn't even let the lineman block him. He jukes him on his own, turns the lineman up in the hole, makes a huge, huge run.
I'm really impressed with this kid. You know, it's like you said, he was picking his way through, letting his linemen do their jobs, letting the people get their blocks in front of him, and ended up being a big gain and first down for Assumption. Double tight end formation again. That's, I'll tell you what, Russell just ran over a guy for a first down. You just what you said, TJ. He just runs so low.
He does.
You cannot hit him. You hit him anywhere above the waist, he's going to knock you over.
No, and I think I saw 5 black helmets around him. It takes half your defense to tackle Lee Russell. And once again, we see Clinton will make the adjustment to the off-tackle play. Here comes your battering ram right up the middle for a big, big 12, 15-yard gain.
I'm really impressed. They're mixing the plays up right now. Well, it looked like we had motion that time. And we've got a flag. Russell trying to make something happen off the right guard. We got a flag on the penalty. I think we're going to have motion on the Assumption Knights.
I agree. And one thing I'd like to relay to Russell, if I could. Lee, when you're up in the middle of the defense and you're not going anywhere and you know it, bend your knees and get to the turf. You don't need to take those 2 and 3 and 4 hits. And it doesn't affect you in the 3rd game of the season, but when you get to your 12th and 13th, when it really matters, late in the season in the playoffs, it might take a toll on you. You know, he's a hard runner, a good, big physical kid. If he gets a separated shoulder, a bruised shoulder, or something like that, that's going to take that 2nd and 3rd effort out of him. So just merely maintaining your body and saving your body. Run hard when you have to, but try to be wise about it as well.
Now, there's something to be said about that. I watched Tavian Banks do that for the University of Iowa. Tavian knows when he's going to be down, you know, and he goes down, avoids that 2nd and 3rd hit, and saves himself for the big gainers later on.
The only guy I really know that can endure it year after year after year was Roger Craig. He would take 4 and 5 hits every time he touched the football, but he was constantly moving forward. The hits I'm talking about are when the defensive linemen have you stalemated, just get to the ground to save the punishment.
Oh, inside reverse. That's number 24, Walsh. He's got room to go. He's at the 10. Touchdown Assumption.
Great job by Mike Walsh. They came in on the inside double counter, and we had talked about that I think Clinton guessed wrong. They had a stem to the right, either that or they got their eyes in the backfield too much with the first counter. Walsh comes back through on the 2nd counter, outstanding haul, and showed a great deal of speed outrunning Dickerson into the end zone.
That's right. I'll tell you what, that's an impressive play.
Oh, it really is.
All the moves they haven't played, they haven't pulled that play off today. They go on the inside handoff, and the inside reverse rather, and he's gone.
It really is.
Nice play.
We admire the beauty of the 3 guys or 4 guys in the backfield, both wings.
He's got it just long enough to get in. I'll tell you what, that's probably the worst kick that Brian Pryor's had tonight, and had just enough oomph on it to get over the goalpost.
That's right. Sorry about that for talking through the extra point, but what I was trying to say is we admire the backfield action between the 4, the fullback, the quarterback, and the 2 wingbacks, not to mention the big guys and tight ends up front. If the backfield's doing all that choreographing and they're doing their steps and timing, what does it take up front? And that, to me, I'm always amazed at Coach Kazmarek. He can get 150, 170-pound linemen to play and play well. And once again, if you're a penetrating defense like Clinton's trying to be tonight, you're very vulnerable to these traps and counters.
I'll tell you what, it was a great play. It was well designed. It was perfectly executed by all parts of the team. And that is an intricate play when you run an inside reverse like that with an inside handoff. It takes a lot of timing. They've worked on it well. It worked well today. All right, 2:18 to go in the 3rd period. And it's 28-7 Assumption. Right now, this game is all Assumption.
I agree. And if you're Assumption, once you get the ball back, it's basically kill the clock time. If you're Clinton, Lonergan's got to come up big. And we've talked, he's out of sync because of the cast, I believe. He really needs to have a good drive here. And the game's not over yet. They're an exciting, explosive team, but they need good things to start happening to them.
Well, Brian Pryor ready to kick. And that's number 5, Reggie Bond. Bond about the 25, 26-yard line.
Doug, I don't know if Reggie quite knew where his wall was set up there. It looked like he started right, went left, and came back to the right, and I think he had a middle wedge set up. Dickerson had some success with the last return. I think that's what they tried to go back to, but I don't know if Reggie was meant to carry that ball or not.
Yeah, I think you'll probably hear about that.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, Dickerson being the more experienced player had the chance really to call him off and come to get that ball.
Sure, and I think Reggie has a rule as an up man, don't ever go back for the ball, and I think he did that, so that's in violation, I'm sure, of one of the special teams coaches' rules.
Well, we are overloaded with receivers on the left side. This is a definite pass play. Lonergan rolling, and he's under pursuit.
Boy, outstanding play. And Doug, what happens, Lee Russell ran him down from a blitzing linebacker standpoint. They went without a back, so an empty backfield set, lined up quads, which is 4 receivers to the left. Most adjustments from teams on defense are to blitz a linebacker because there's no back to block the linebacker. They manned, Assumption's defensive line manned up with Clinton's offensive line, let Lee Russell run free, and he just got to the quarterback for the quarterback to get the ball to the receiver.
All right, now we're back to an I formation. Lonergan under center. Looking, a little draw. That's number 42. 42 is Matt Newman, 6'1" and 220-pound fullback, and he ran like a 6'1", 220-pound fullback.
He did, but Matt, I need to tell you, look at Mr. Russell from Assumption, because you need to lower your pads. He had a beautiful running lane because Lee Russell blitzed opposite of the way Matt Newman came to the hole. He got into the secondary and let a defensive back tackle him one-on-one, and for a fullback, he might hear about it a little bit from his running backs coach there.
Yeah, he was pretty much straight up and down when he got upfield.
He sure was, and as soon as you do that, you lose, and there's no question about that.
Okay, Lonergan under center, offset I formation. Dickerson split out far to the right. Roll left with an option pass. Is Dickerson on the option? Fumble. We have a fumble. No, he held on to the ball. It's going to be 4th down now and about 5 yards. And it looks like another punting situation for the Clinton River Kings. Just having a hard time getting things to happen. But I tell you what, you got to take your hat off to the Assumption Knights and their defense. Great pursuit on the ball tonight.
Really was, and that was a great job by Matt Fitzpatrick. Whether he was in man coverage or 3-deep zone, he came up, forced the option. Really did a nice job making open field tackle, and a very good running back in Dickerson.
All right, we got Walsh back to receive, and Noss ready to get a good snap and a hand-over end kick. Walsh has it at the 28-yard line. Working at the 43-yard line. Walsh on a nice return that time.
One thing, you look at that hit, and it was an outstanding hit by number 72, Tom Howell for Clinton. And you think Tom Howell being 6 foot and 208 pounds and Walsh being significantly smaller than that, you think that would hurt Walsh in the sidelines. But if you would look at his pad level and how low his helmet was, he was the guy actually giving the punishment there. And that's something with Assumption's running backs they do so very well. They deliver the punishment all game long.
It's a sign of a good runner. A good runner is not going to take the hit. When he's ready to be hit, he's going to lower the shoulder and hit somebody.
I agree.
And that's the way you'd stay from not being hurt.
Sure, yeah. And once again, I refer to it as, are you the hammer or are you the nail? And I prefer to be the nail. And the way you do that is to lower your pad level. Take your head off to Coach Kazmarek. If it were one running back, I'd say it's all natural. It's just a natural ability. But every running back does it, so he's teaching it and teaching it very well.
We had a clip that time by the Assumption Knights, bring the ball back 15 yards. It's going to be Assumption ball. 1st down, double tight end formation.
On this play, everyone up again.
And guess who's got the ball? Russell running hard, jumping over people, still on his feet. And a 1st down.
I can't help but laugh. They ran the counter outside. We've been talking about outside off tackle play. Ran the counter. Lee Russell hurdles 3 guys, and it takes another 5 to tackle him. That's 8 out of 11 that put a helmet on him that play. Boy, an outstanding run, and I can't help but laugh. This guy's exciting to watch.
And it looks like Matt Newman a little slow in getting up that time. He's going to come off the field. Part of that pile that was hurdled that time by Mr. Russell.
And
I may start calling him Mr. Russell.
I tell you what, he's definitely one of the finest in the MAC. There's no question. And as we talked, Assumption went 1-1 without their leader Kevin Collins, and the majority of that was Lee Russell. And they lost a tough one to Davenport West, who their Davenport West defense played outstandingly well. Had it not been for an outstanding effort by Davenport West defense, they could very well be 2-0 right now without their starting quarterback. basically because the likes of Lee Russell and Tim Mathis and Mike Walsh. So their backfield action, the backfield players are really, really performing well for Assumption.
And I should remind our listeners that Russell is only a junior.
Exactly.
He's coming back next year, ladies
Can he leave early? Can he go early? I tell you what, I'm sure there are quite a few schools in the area and quite a few scouts out here tonight, I'm sure, being a Saturday night. Maybe they're not able to sneak out tonight because a majority of the colleges played today, but I'm sure there are quite a few scouts that watch him and really are very impressed, and they're going to see how he grows next year. Not only is he going to get bigger, obviously, in the weight room, but will he get faster? Will he continue to keep his balance and be the athlete that he is? Right now, if you add an inch and a half to Lee Russell and you add about 25 pounds, he definitely is a big-time Division I fullback.
He ought to go from 6 foot and 190 to 6'2" and 220. That'd be a big advantage.
Exactly.
All right. Well, they let the clock run out, the Assumption Knights did, on the end of the third quarter. It's 28-7 Assumption, and it's going to be Assumption ball to start the fourth quarter at about the 40-yard line.
Yeah, and that's for Assumption, you're in your 4-minute offense, and what that is you milk the clock for all it's worth. The one disadvantage from the quarterback standpoint from Assumption right now, we don't have any play clocks. We've talked about that earlier. They really need that in this situation because you want to snap the ball down within 1 or 2 seconds of every play clock to get as much time out of it as you can. You tell your guys, whatever you do, you used to tell them don't get out of bounds, but now you go ahead and tell them to get out of bounds because the clock only stops for a brief period now. So whatever you do from a running back, you don't take the 3rd, 4th, 5th hit. You get what you can and get down now because a turnover is the only way really Clinton can get back in this game.
All right, well, they're in tight again, and it looks like it's going to be consistent running now. Oh, and just as I say it's going to be running, he's rolling out, and number 4 is right downfield. Oh! Through to the underneath guy, but I'll tell you what, wide open down the sideline was Brian Pryor. He was at about the 35-yard line, and there wasn't anybody within 15 yards of it.
I agree, and Dan McInerney running the post was wide open, as well as Mike Walsh in the flat. The only thing I'd like to say to Kevin Collins, he's looking to run and get a comfort zone when he's rolling out. I would like to see him make the fake, look to throw, and then find your defensive end. If he does that, he hits 2 deep corner routes, we think that would be wide open. Obviously, we saw that last receiver was wide open, but he's looking to run first and get in a comfort zone, and that's cost him 2 big pass plays tonight.
All right, 2nd down and 10. We got man in motion. I believe we're going to have some kind of an illegal shift or motion, and number 10 is Collins.
That might be his re-injured ankle.
That doesn't look good. He's upset too. He doesn't like it.
No, and if I'm Coach Kazmarek, I don't mind taking Fitzpatrick, putting him in the game, which I think is going to happen here.
It's going to happen right now. Fitzpatrick is coming in, and Collins is going to come out.
Right, you're up 21 points, and you need Kevin Collins to make a run at the MAC title. Get him out of the game, tell him to hit the showers, and let Fitzpatrick, not to mention Fitzpatrick has earned his wings in the last 2 games. He's been thrown into the fire, done a great job, taking a lot of the practice snaps, and really is ready to play. So there's going to be a significant, not a significant, but there's going to be a drop-off, but not so much that Assumption's not going to move the ball, move it effectively.
Yeah, I think we're going to stick on the ground now. Of course, I said that one other time. We're 2nd and 15. Ross, I'll tell you what, I love the man in motion toward the back, the little delayed handoff to Russell, and the timing that it took to do the blocking on the center and then the right guard. And Russell just has a way of hitting the hole and running hard.
And I tell you what, and I don't know the Rogaine status of the defense coordinator for Clinton right now, but he's got to be pulling his hair out. As soon as you stop the off-tackle play that's giving you fits all night, here comes Russell for an 11-yard gain right up the middle. So
the Rogaine status,
exactly.
I like that.
You really can't guess right if you're the Clinton defense coordinator tonight.
Russell running, turning backwards. 3 guys on him, and backwards. He was running backwards and carried 3 guys for the first down yardage.
Oh, and he really did. We talked, and now Clinton stopped the middle, and here came Russell off tackle. So once again, Coach Gaz guessed right. The best thing about that run, not to mention 2nd, 3rd, 4th effort by Russell, both hands on the ball when he hit the deck. And at this time of the game, he's sensitive to the fact that turnovers are what are going to give Clinton a chance. Right now, if you hang on to the football from Assumption, you'll win this football game.
What is Kazmarek seeing on the River Kings defense that he's exploiting so well all the time. Oh, there it is, run by Russell, that time up the middle again. Maybe he's just exploiting Russell.
No, what he's really doing is what Clinton is doing. They either pack both defensive tackles, both defensive ends, and both linebackers between guard and tackle, or excuse me, between the tackles. And they pack all 7 people in there and really leave their outside linebackers in the corners to make a play. And there's a safety back in the middle as well. When he sees that, he tries to run off tackle. Well, what Clinton's adjustment to that is to spread their defensive line out. And then they still bring the linebackers up the middle. That linebacker blitz is doing them more harm than good because now the center's just picking him off, giving him lanes to trap, and Russell runs right up the middle.
That's just a little seal move. We got flag in the play. Well, Collins is back in the game and upset about being sacked.
He really was, and in that time, Clinton, once again, they had a defense designed to stop the off tackle. 2 defenders came outside, and there was a wide receiver right open, and that was Quinn Howell. And I can't help but think if Kevin Collins is going to play quarterback on another level, he had enough time to get that ball off. He doesn't feel like he did. He feels like he didn't get the blocking he needed. Me being a quarterback, gone through that level, he's got to make the fake, whip his head around, and anticipate the guy being open, and he's got to give the ball to him. And that's something he's got to work on, and it might have been because of his ankle and because he's been out 2 weeks, but he really needs to expect himself to get his eyes in the secondary instead of on the defensive lineman.
All right, well, let's see what happens here. We're 9:40 to go in the 4th period. Hand off to the middle, Russell running hard. Looks like first down. Assumption. We've got a clock killed. We're going to see if they're going to measure here.
And Doug, you asked me earlier what adjustment has Clinton made. 2 defensive people for Clinton right there were on Kevin Collins on the option play. 1 person was being drugged by Lee Russell. So that will just tell you simply what they do is they try to widen out to stop the off tackle to actually just put more helmets in the off tackle hole. And by that I mean instead of having 2, let's put 3 or 4. As soon as you do that, there's only 2 or 3 up the center. So Assumption really is doing a great job, and there's really nothing Clinton can do at this point.
Yeah, you know, they've got 9 guys up front and 2 guys not far behind them. And I still keep waiting for the fake on the play action pass and somebody wide open down the sideline or up the middle for Assumption because there's just nobody back.
Well, we've seen it. We've seen him wide open. I think the only missing link here is that Kevin Collins is looking to run and roll out first before he throws it. If he just turns, whips his head after the fake, plants his back foot and throws the ball with a little bit of touch, he's going to have receivers wide open.
This is a classic example. We're on the 36-yard line, and the deep guy for Clinton's at the 30. 6
Exactly
yards off the line of scrimmage.
Handoff left side, Joe Bradley.
Bradley looking for room, and he has no room to run. That time it's going to be 2nd and 10 for Assumption. Bradley was out there looking for some kind of blockers, and all he saw was white shirts.
Exactly, and that was the first time Bradley actually looked like a junior replacement. He was indecisive, and the one thing he's been doing great thus far, he hasn't been thinking, he's been running the football, running it hard. And son, the 4th quarter, when you're up by 21, it's not the time to stop now. Just lower the head, get positive yards, take care of the football, and try to run somebody over.
Well, I think he likes to follow those blockers and pick his way around, and sometimes you just got to run north and south.
Exactly, especially this time of the game, this situation.
All right, we got his receiver split wide to the right, inside handoff to Russell, running hard. Gain of about 7 yards for Russell. I'll tell you what, I don't know what he's got for yardage today, but it's got to be close to 130, 140 yards.
Oh, without question. And we talked about the blitzing linebacker for Clinton coming through, and we didn't know if it was doing him more good or harm. They just unblocked him. Assumption unblocked him that time. He hit Lee Russell right in the head, but wasn't ready to make the play. He's running in there, not anticipating tackling anybody. They just, Assumption lineman unblocked him. Okay, run right by it. And if you're the Clinton defense coordinator, you made the right call. You had a guy there to make the play, and it's not happening for you. Now, granted, to me, I say you put 3 or 4 on Lee Russell, and that's why Assumption's had the success on the off-tackle plays. So, once again, Coach Kaz is doing a great job of keeping Clinton off balance.
Here's the pass play. Collins looking wide open that time. Who's that? Is that Russell again? Is that Russell? No, it's not Russell out of the backfield.
That was
Dan
McInerney.
Is that McInerney?
And once again, I think we saw Kevin Collins finally make the play fake, take 2 or 3 steps past the fake, flip his feet, and get rid of the football quickly. You don't have to throw it when he's open. You have to anticipate when he's going to be open, and that means sometimes throwing it when he's covered and he's running to open area. And Kevin Collins did a great job of doing that right there, and that's a nice job of him. I think that's his first completion all night, so that's a nice job of him actually getting one registered in the book.
Kevin Collins, that just occurred to me. He's Jim Collins' son.
I don't know that.
I believe that's the case. Jim Collins was called Candy Collins when he played for Assumption. I mean, he played for was Bradley on the whole in about a gain of about looks like about 6 yards. But he is in the Hall of Fame at St. Ambrose as a running back.
Oh, great! I didn't know that, and I believe his older brother is at Iowa. So obviously there's a great deal of bloodlines there. I was told that. I don't quite know that for sure, but if that's the case, there's a great deal of bloodlines and obviously a lot of talent in his family. And being a pure athlete is great at quarterback. I just think he has the talent and the ability to be a quarterback and be a passer. And some of the things like I talk about, getting your eyes into the secondary and those things, are just my comments, because this kid has a great deal of talent and he can play at the next level quarterback.
He's got quick feet.
Exactly. And I would like to see him use those quick feet for the passing game instead of the running game.
It's going to be first down and goal for Assumption at looks like the 9.5-yard line. And again, Russell running hard up the middle for the first down that time. And right now, everything that Mark Kazmarek is calling is working for Assumption.
Well, without question, and he's mixing it up. And I really don't think that there's more than 4 plays being called tonight. So it's not like he's pulling out a great wealth of plays. I think he's just out-executing Clinton at this point, and Clinton just can't guess right. And you see some of Clinton's defensive linemen holding their arms and elbows and everything. You try to tackle Lee Russell with your arms, they're going to hurt in the morning.
And off it's Russell. He's looking at 6. That's 6. Russell backing his way into the end zone. But I tell you what, when he broke loose and had one defender at the goal line to beat, you knew it was going to be 6 yards.
That's automatic. That's definitely sure. And once again, we talked, you got to love Lee Russell lining up as an offset tailback and running to the off-tackle hole. And once again, it's a reoccurring theme. And take your hat off to Coach Kaz. Some of the defense coordinators say offensive coaches will not be patient enough to exploit our weakness. Coach Kaz has exploited Clinton's weakness tonight and just done a great job of being patient and taking advantage of what Clinton hasn't done well tonight.
And Pryor splits the goalpost again. And boy, I'll tell you what, 6:03 to go in the fourth quarter, and the route is on.
It really is.
35-7 Assumption, and it's been all Assumption in the second half. In fact, looking backwards, I don't remember a first down in the second half yet by Clinton.
I really don't, and we talked about it with your quarterback, and he's probably one of your best players. He has a cast on your hand. The ball's hitting the turf. Your punting game's struggling. Clinton just never looked like they were in it from the first play when Lee Russell rambled some 60-plus yards. They just haven't been crisp tonight, haven't been sharp, and with 6 minutes left in the game, we haven't seen any signs, like you said, with no first downs in the second half, that they're going to break out of this. So it might not be a bad time to take Lonergan out and make sure let him heal a little longer and give your backup a chance, because this isn't the same Clinton team that's gone 2-0 thus far in the season.
Well, this will be a big win for Assumption to beat a good Clinton team. A team coming in as 2-0, and for them to go to 2-1 on the season, Mark Kazmarek's got to feel good about the position that he's going to be in.
I agree, and we talked about Assumption just getting Kevin Collins back, and Kevin hasn't played his best game tonight, but you can just tell by his teammates that they're excited to have him back, and they're following his leadership, and he's running that offense like he needs to.
There's Pryor on the kick. I tell you what, a long end over end and deep kick. Dickerson's got it at the 6-yard line. He's looking for a hole up the middle, picking his way through. Nice run by Dickerson that time. Going north and south, then it's going to be first down. The River Kings on the 40-yard line.
He'll keep fighting you, won't he? You know, I've been talking about my boy Fitzpatrick tonight, and he's been giving the blows on these kicks, but the guys from Clinton have taken note because he just got leveled. So I guess once you point a finger at somebody, you have 3 coming back at you, and that might have been the case there because he just took one on the chin.
They sent a message.
They are telling the rest of them.
All right, offset I formation, Lonergan under center. Looks like we're a straight drop back pass. Boy, he's under a lot of pressure. That's the screenplay. That's number 5, Reggie Bond. That's too deep on the screen.
Oh, it is. And Lonergan did a great job of stringing that out for what it was worth. But like you said, that's way too deep. And I really thought that someone might be noticeably downfield when it takes that long. But it seems like the back beat the blockers out, and usually when the back's in front of the blockers on a screen, there's not a whole lot of real estate to be had there.
That was number 7 that time, Scott Canada, 5'10", 175 pounds, that just came in there, made a good rush on him, and made that screenplay tough to work.
He really did.
All right, I formation. Lonergan under center, right up the middle. That's the fullback running hard. That's Paul Horner. Paul on a nice run. I'll tell you what, that time lowered his shoulders and used everything that he's got.
He really did.
Horner is a junior, that's 6 foot and 148 pounds.
And he replaces Lonergan. He replaces Lonergan, like we said, and we thought he might come in as quarterback and to back Lonergan up now that Lonergan has a cast and has left the game. So his task right now is just to get the ball in the end zone. Let's save face a little bit and execute the offense and play hard and make sure we take our team into the end zone.
Russell, along with Mike Miller making the stop there for the
Russell on the tackle. That was number 32 on the run. 32 is Adam Helke.
Hey, you got to love Russell. He's played a great game tonight offensively and defensively, and with 4.5 minutes to go, I've seen guys pull up with a hamstring, the phantom ankle injury, and just take a seat tonight and then cash it in, but he's out there still making tackles. So
bad, and I don't think there's anything but fight in that young man.
I agree with you there.
All right, about a 7-step strap. Oh, he's in trouble. Brought down. Horner looking for somebody to throw to, and he was brought down that time by Scott Canada. Scott had the big rush on the screenplay before. He's just coming through untouched.
He really did, and he's a linebacker and right next to Lee Russell, and he just came, like you said, right through the guard center gap, and really Horner had nothing he could really do there. Maybe throw the ball away and not take the sack, because that loses time and yardage and the down, all three. If you're in a situation like that, let's just lose the down and move on.
Right now we're playing prevent. If your assumption fumble on the exchange. That time it didn't look like Horner had a good grasp on the ball after he's on the snap from center, and that happens a lot when you come in as a substitute quarterback. You haven't taken any snaps, it's hard to do.
It really is, and especially when you're running the dive option with the fullback, and it just seems like he hit the fullback in the hip, or that might even have been a guard that got pushed back in the backfield. But either way, it's just a Clinton team right now that's just sputtering, really not doing the things that they're used to, and I'm sure that Coach Cox isn't going to be very happy with this film when he watches it tomorrow.
Walsh deep to receive the punt from Nass. Well, I tell you what, they were going after it, but he got the kickoff. It's going to bounce and going to be down at about the 32-yard line.
Up 35-7. I don't know if Coach Kaz didn't put a phantom block on there, trying to block the punt to get their opponent next week to maybe practice against a block that they don't ever use, and so the real block will come when they really need it. And those are some of the things Coach Kazmarek is constantly coaching. He never takes a play off, and he's always doing the things that'll give him a tactical advantage on down the road later in the season. And you need those things in a tough MAC race. The winner of the MAC's probably going to have 2 losses this year, and it's a very competitive conference, sending 5 teams to playoff last year. So I applaud that effort.
All right, we got Assumption's second team in there, and in at quarterback now is number 17, Matt Fitzpatrick, rather.
That was John Garvin. We've called his name, unfortunately, on the one penalty earlier in the game, but he gets his chance to run and gets his chance to beat Lee Russell for a second and try to test the inside of the Clinton defense, and I think we're going to see the second teamers pretty much on both Assumption and Clinton from this point on.
Good move on both coaches' parts at this point to save the young men, give the other guys a chance to play, and get some action in.
That's true.
Hand off, and it looks like there's no room to run.
And the most important thing here from both coaches' standpoint is the game is pretty much decided, obviously 35-7. Let's get in the bus. Let's get home. If you're Clinton, let's lick our wounds. Let's watch the film. Let's boil it out and be upset about it tomorrow, but put it behind us and get ready for next week. If you're Assumption, great to have Kevin Collins back. Great to run the offense, execute, score 35 points, and have your defense show up and play outstandingly well. And, hey, let's take this momentum and move forward, because now we've got all of our guns ready and firing well.
All right, and we've got Joe Garvin in, and that's number 29 in motion. And the pitch to Garvin, and Garvin has nowhere to go. Also in is number 29, Scott Gullickson, a 5'9", 140-pound junior.
And that was a nice job by the Clinton defense. With a minute to go, they stopped the Assumption dive. So now, granted, that wasn't Lee Russell. I have a feeling Lee would have still drug him for 3 or 4. So.
All right, back to receive now for Clinton is number, is that 32? You got the number on that, TJ?
I sure don't, Doug.
Looks like 31, but I don't see a 31 on my book.
Might be 37.
Yeah, it's 37. Oh, that's Corey Rentz. Corey Rentz makes the decision to take that ball, and he might regret that one.
I agree. And that was number 29, Scott Gullickson, along with Joe Bradley. Joe Bradley's had an outstanding second half. And speaking of Joe Bradley, that brings up another question. We sure hope that Tim Mathis is okay. He's an outstanding part of this Assumption offense and defense for that matter. He plays outside linebacker for him, an outstanding team leader, and really a guy that plays hard. He and Lee Russell are cut out of the same mold, and hopefully he's okay for this Assumption night team, because that could be a big loss as well.
Yeah, they're going to need him for the rest of the year. Well, we got 57 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. It's been fun to be here at Brady Street Stadium doing the game with T.J. Rubley. Really enjoyed it, T.J.
Oh, I have too. I have too.
Oh, that's going to be an incomplete pass. That'll be an incomplete pass.
That's Brandon Connell again, coach, on that quick seam. When you fake the dive and he runs straight up the field. This time he looked for the ball in the 10-yard area, and it's a nice job by Horner putting it right on the upfield one in his number 10. But Connell just couldn't come up with it, and I think he heard footsteps maybe. There was nobody around him, but that safety was coming in a hurry.
Put it on the one, and he did. He hit him right in the hands that time. It was unfortunate he didn't catch the ball. All right.
Exactly.
That's number 12, Horner, under center. Receivers, left and right. Handoff this time to 37. That's 37, Corey Rentz. Cutting back to the left for a gain of about 5. It's going to be third down and about 3.
That's a nice job by Corey Rentz, being a senior tailback. He's playing in the shadows of Derek Dickerson. Gets a chance to run, and he's going to still fight you for the last half minute. And I love guys that come in and play hard, and second, third, fourth effort, they're spinning, fighting, scratching for everything they can get, and you can't help from a coach's standpoint to take your hat off to a kid like that.
This is what helps make good teams too, because there's kids that may not be in the first string right now, or they're playing like this, they're playing hard in practice
Without
too,
question.
and that helps the first string.
Without question.
Oh, a nice pass that time. That's number 8. It's number 86, Isaac Davis on the catch, and that'll be a first down for the Clinton River Kings with 2.5 seconds to go in this game.
That's a nice job by Paul Horner. He had enough time to, on the sprint out right, they get good enough block on the outside to actually get time to set his feet and throw a nice strike on the out route. Very nice throw.
Well, we're just going to throw this one up, I think.
Maybe not.
Tell you what. Well, we were going to try to throw it up. Then it got buried. I tell you what, it's been a beautiful night for football. And unfortunately tonight for the River Kings, Assumption was just too much.
Oh, I agree, and I thought Clinton was one of the toughest teams to beat in the conference. I really felt that they were one of the teams that are a little underrated. I guess with their showing tonight, they're going to have to really go back and strap it on and get back to the detailed things that they had been doing in the first 2 games to turn this season around for them. Being 2-1, long season, they're not out of it, but they do have to play better football. They just didn't look good tonight at all. And Assumption, take your hat off to them. I mean, Coach Kaz had the Clinton defense off balance. Clinton just couldn't stop Assumption's offense, and Lee Russell, I think, is the exclamation point in the entire offense, and you have to love Kevin Collins coming back as your team leader. So I really saw an enthusiastic Assumption team, and I think all of those factors in play, they'll take this momentum and hopefully have a good showing next week.
Yeah, I tell you what, both teams are 2-1 right now, and it's only 1 loss for Clinton. It's a big win for Assumption, and an exclamation point that we're back, and we're something that you're going to have to be reckoned with.
Well, without question. If you told Assumption coaches that they lost Kevin Collins for the first 2 games of the season, and that you play Clinton at home your 3rd game, and you would be